And hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome in Mysteries with Mr. Belgic. Mr. B, that's me. Jerome for the girls. We are here today with Mr. Ned Dehan from BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, and Mr. Ross Geraci from Planet X Filmworks. Two excellent channels that I recommend you to support and subscribe, really. I would like to say hi to everybody in the chat. I hope you have a nice week, a start of a beginning of a nice week.
Pardon me.
Uh, so today we will talk about a lot of things. Hello, Megan. Hello, Darkside. Hello, Michael. Hello, That by Stereo. Hello, Bobby Scott. Hello, everybody. And thank you for your support and for your cons- constant support to the show. Today we are going to talk about the net shit documentary.
Stole my phrase.
Yeah, the Netflix documentary. This is the Zodiac speaking with the Seawater family. So if you don't if you don't know anything about the Zodiac Killer story, it it's maybe a good point to start, but I would say maybe it's better to watch the movie. Maybe the movie is better than the documentary. We can talk about that, but I think the movie is better than the documentary for the, the for everything. But we are going to talk about the documentary and the waste of time and energy and money that Netflix had put in this documentary. I don't want to be in respect to anyone, but this documentary is really wow, BS 100%. So, hi Ned, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing just fine, Jerome.
Ross, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. We're fresh off of Jerome, Mr. Belgique being over on Z Files, so go check that out. We did Jerome's whole theory there, the Donald Lee Cheney Sandy connection. So go check that out, guys. But pleased to be here. I wanted to hold off till we actually had something to kind of, I guess, new, so to speak. Although I don't think any of us would say the content is new. But there's a 3-part series on Netflix, as Jerome just said. That's pretty much the update we have for you guys. So we can talk about that, I guess.
This
So,
is the
okay.
Zodiac speaking.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
first, this is really stupid to have taken something who already exists.
Yep.
This is the Zodiac speaking, is the documentary in the David Fincher movie bonus. So,
Yeah.
there is no logic in there, but yeah, we will go and deep dive about this documentary. So we want to start first.
Ned, you're the freshest. You can give us your initial impression.
Yes, I just watched all 3 parts. I guess you would say yesterday. But overall, though, I had a lot of negative press about this sent to me. A lot of people were saying some very unflattering things about the documentary series. When I actually watched all 3 parts, it was better than I thought. At least we got a little bit more details about the Seawater story, a little bit more clarity about the situation, and also some key components of their stories. More or less, the nutshell version is that these are 3 kids, Dave, Connie, and Don, who grew up around Arthur Lee Allen, the prime suspect in the Zodiac Killer mystery. They called him Mr. Allen because he was a school teacher. And yes, Arthur Lee Allen was a very bad person. He was a child molester, and he would do a lot of things to groom the children to make them like him. Arthur Lee Allen was also a bisexual, and that is something that is reinforced in this movie. He's targeting both males and females for his sex crimes, which he is convicted of and sent to a Atascadero State Hospital. The mother, Phyllis Seawater, seems to have turned a major blind eye to everything. Maybe she was just either completely duped and under his spell, or maybe she just genuinely didn't care. But no matter what he seemed to do, she didn't really want to cut him out of her life, even being in a Atascadero for child molestation. Oh, they just got
Yeah.
him on something, and it's always just some type of vague response from her. But overall, I mean, I thought it was interesting to hear the full expansion stories of the Seawaters talking about how they interacted with Arthur Lee Allen. This is what he did when they were kids. These are the suspicious things that could connect him to the Zodiac case. But it really is a divide because we have their stories, we have the Zodiac narrative. Do they really intersect? I mean, that's almost even left up to the viewer. All right, so over to Ross.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree 100% with what Ned said. I mean, I am not really a big fan of drudging up these Seawater stories, not saying that it's, what happened to them is not true or whatever, as Ned was saying, but it seems like more of a Arthur Lee Allen story between the Seawater family. They obviously knew him. They have all the retro film, whatever that is, obviously not VHS, but was whatever was before that, and pictures and stuff, and even some letters written back and forth between him and Phyllis. And I mean, I guess I would say what other people would say, Jerome, and I think actually Drew said this on his live. That's a really good reaction to this after Drew Beeson watched it, and it's that there's no pushback for Arthur Lee Allen in this 3-part series. It's the Seawaters version of, oh, by the way, is he not the obvious suspect for the canonicals, but he's also at most of the non-canonicals too. We'll get into that. And then like Gray Smith, which we all know what the topic of his book is from '86. It's the blueprint for David Fincher's 2007 movie, which I think is excellent. Again, I've said this many times on air with you guys before. That's kind of how I got introduced to the case. Again, not knowing Zodiac or true crime, anything, walking away from that movie. Well, it's obviously ALA because that's just where the movie dumps you. And then I went on Tap and Talk and I found out, oh, wow, that was red pilling for me. I was like, oh, wow, nobody in the Zodiac community thinks it's Arthur Lee Allen. Literally, Tom Voight, anybody. You know what I mean? That was kind of before I found Ned's channel. I found Ned's channel right after I found Drew's. Drew has a semi-convincing theory that involves Arthur Lee Allen to some degree. I think that's the most credence you can give it. It's just tough when it's just the Seawaters and just Gray Smith, and then Tom Voight comes in at the very end, and then obviously, Susanna Ryan and some of the stuff we discussed off air. I was trying to figure out where the budget to this documentary went. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have one editor on my series. The entire show is just literally me and my camera operator, Gabe, who operates the drone, the cameras, and does all of the film editing. So I'm looking at it from a filmmaking perspective. I did like episode 1 when they did like the Chronicle and showing how the newspapers were pressed and the media angle. I think they probably could have used a lot more Avery in this, and they really just kind of glossed over him like a footnote. Oh, by the way, there was that guy, Paul Avery, who wrote basically all of the Zodiac articles, and Zodiac was writing letters directly to him. They kind of like had Avery as a footnote, which I thought was crazy. But, back to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of inconsistency. Oh shit! In the narrative, but in the same times, when you heard the mother didn't talk so much. It's more what the kids feel about their mother, and to know that their father was at the same hospital that Arthur Lee Allen was after.
Yeah.
It's something, a little bit strange, because if you think that the guy is a serial killer, why leave your kids with this kind of guy first?
Well, I can answer that.
The Zodiac babysitter.
Now, Ross brought up a point about how there's no pushback against Arthur Lee Allen. All right, now if you haven't seen this, we're going to spoil everything for you. But in part 3, they talk about how Arthur Lee Allen gives the reported confession to Dave Seawater over the phone when he's asked directly about being the Zodiac Killer. And Arthur Lee Allen says, yeah, that was me, or yeah, I did that. Then they talk about this with the mother, Phyllis. And this might be the only form of pushback where she's like, oh, that's just Mr. Allen telling wild stories. Do you remember the exact phrasing, Ross, where it's like, that's just Mr. Allen making stuff up. He's always playing those games.
It was like a sense of humor or something, which what is funny about insinuating that you're a serial killer that killed like these teenage kids in cold blood? Like there's nothing funny about that,
No.
Okay, Ross, here's a challenge. Like, this is Dave Seawater on the phone with Arthur Lee Allen, who's in very bad health, right? This is like shortly before he died, like even a month before he died. And part of me was wondering when he's asking, were you the Zodiac? And what does he say? Yeah, I did that. Is there any
Yeah, it was
possible way
me.
he said, I didn't do that or something like that?
Very possible, but you know what? I don't even doubt that Allen told him that. I mean, even if Allen told him that on his deathbed, like you said, what does it even mean? What does it matter? Because when he's found at the kitchen table with that letter that he printed or typewrote or whatever in his hand after he keeled over from the whatever dialysis, whatever he had, it said he wrote a whole letter to VPD that like it's not me. You know what I mean? So even if he told him that on the phone, he ultimately went out on his shield saying like not even taking credit for it, and that was the time to do it.
Yeah.
Like Jerome said, he's going to be dead anyway. He's not going to have to deal with the fallout. You know, like
Absolutely.
No.
He would have had the biggest opportunity for a deathbed confession out of anyone.
Mhm.
Joe Schmo wouldn't be believed. Look at these other people who have made confessions like Louis Myers. No one has any idea, no one had any idea who that guy was before the confession. And
didn't peek the
Arthur
radar.
Lee Allen, though, had the spotlight on him. I don't know. I really don't know. But, like, part of me doesn't want to doubt the Seawaters. And I can believe this stuff about Arthur Lee Allen was drugging them because of his history of child molestation. But
Yeah.
something about him confessing over the phone has always bothered me. And I was just trying to reconcile it. Did Dave Seawater just mishear the whole thing? Well, we can't even ask Dave now.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
and on to a better place as well. Just like Mr.
Yeah.
Allen, although he's in a hot place.
Here's my question to you guys. I mean, would it just have been better off being an Allen and a Seawaters thing and just make it an Allen story and kind of leave Zodiac out of it? Because they focus so much on the Seawaters narrative, and then it's like you have like Graysmith and these other people peppered in, like this was a canonical, that was a canonical, but none of it really connects. None of it really puts Allen at the site of any of those canonicals. I mean, we'll talk about LB in a bit because they try there, but it doesn't quite land, at least not for me.
Not to the site, but Allen does live in the Bay Area, fair enough. Like he lives in Vallejo, right? And
Down the street from the first two, sure.
I mean, I know what you mean, Ross, about how with the non-canonicals, they're specifically trying to place him at those places. Whereas,
Exactly.
I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
if he's in the area, like that's fair enough. It's just,
But that's how they left it, though. Like, you agree with me that, like, oh, by the way, he lives at 32 Fresno, and LHR was down the street, and BRS is down the street, but they never quite get you there. You know what I mean? I guess
sure.
maybe they're assuming you've read Graysmith and he did all the groundwork. You know, I don't know. But
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a little bit of that where they just like expect people to be familiar with the Zodiac thing. And I also think this would be a hard documentary to watch if you're just jumping into the Zodiac story and you haven't heard about Arthur Lee Allen every day for the last 10 years. And then I mean, we can talk about a little more speculation though, unless Jerome has something he wants to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of things. First, yeah, their memory looks like it's better 40 years later than when they were when they were child, which is strange. Graysmith changed his story by the Seawater narrative. So now we have Alan who got a speed ticket and have a knife on his passenger seat. He got a speed ticket. He's arrested by a cop. Cop see the knife with the blood. Oh, it's nothing. It was to kill a chicken for my dinner. Okay, go.
yeah,
But
yeah, we're
there
not
were,
looking for anybody that just murdered
no,
two
we are
people
not
a couple
looking
down
for
at the lake.
anybody. There was just a crime right there.
Move along.
30 minutes ago, but go away. So no, and yeah, Robert Graysmith changed against some details that he mentioned earlier, but the Seawater narrative, I will not say that they're lying, but I think that to know somebody like Arthur Lee Hallan was not good for anyone. Like you said, Ned, he was a child molester. He was not a good guy for sure. Uh, I don't know about this drug stuff about drugging the kids. Uh, yeah, it's possible,
I mean,
but
not to cut you off, Jerome, but I think that's as much as we have on him, and we all knew that since the 90s because it was already in Graysmith's book in 86 that he did the time that got fired from his job, did that. So like to hear these personal stories from the Seawater for me, like I said, not saying it happened or didn't, but this isn't personally what I'm looking for in Zodiac content. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like they leave the Zodiac case in the background, and it's like, and I get it. True. They want to connect it to the personal story, but Allen, sure. We know what his charges were, and we know probably why they looked into him to begin with. But as a murderer, I don't know. Like every day, I think I see it less and less as Allen for murder. I don't know if he killed anybody. He's friendly with the animals. He loves his dog in the documentary footage. It's just like every day his image softens for me.
Yeah, and you have a witness who in the documentary we say, it was nice to know Mr. Allen because we were going to the cinema watching Disney movie, and he was a good guy. And the other hand, we have the Seawater, who let's talk about one on the first non-canonical crime about Robert Domingo and Linda Edwards. Some details that I finding out, and you are going to tell me what you think about that, but there is no mention of Bobby's car, no mention at all of Robert Domingo's car. So this is something.
So why go down there in the first place? Just driving down the street and pulling over on
exactly
the train tracks the way they showed it, like it's just like almost random. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Didn't make any sense.
There is a really huge risk for Allen. Why? Because if you left 3 children in your car for 1 hour, and let's say a cops came and asked the kids, what are you doing here alone, you 3 boys? What are you doing? Oh, we are waiting for our uncle.
Our
Mr.
driver's
Allen.
down there. He's down the hill.
Just down there. He's caught for his crime. If he's the killer of Linda Edwards and Robert Domingo. So it's completely dumb from Lee Allen if he's done that, because it doesn't look like the Zodiac. The Zodiac is precise. He know what to do.
Bringing a bunch of witnesses to the site with him. That's not
no. And plus, the day, it was a Tuesday, so a day school.
Yeah,
and
it's a weekday.
The skit was not at school, and the mother doesn't care about that.
Right.
Seems strange. Seems really strange.
All right, so Jerome, here's my ultimate take on that. We're talking about Gaviota and the Robert Domingo's Linda Edwards murders. These are some extremely specific details for children to be remembering.
Yeah.
And also, I've really tried to think that the Seawaters are honest and telling the truth. Could they have not just been remembering a different day, a different time? Yeah, sure, they went on a car ride with Arthur Lee Allen, but maybe he drove there to somewhere else. And when Connie Seawater talks about how Mr. Allen walked up the cliffside and she came out to see what was wrong, and then he pushes her to the side kind of in an angry way, maybe that was on a different day in a different place. And then one of the Seawaters said something after reading about Gaviota. Oh, wait, don't you remember? This happened to us. We were with Mr. Allen, and he walked up the hillside, and he had that red stuff on his hand. Okay. Yeah. That's what I think is happening, that they're getting their memories crossed, they're getting confused, and they shared this story among the 3 of them, and then they just went with it. My biggest problems with this, as you guys pointed out, you're going to have more witnesses, but also, I mean, this whole story about how they went to a store with him, he bought beer and 22 caliber Super X ammunition.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of kid's paying attention to that? Oh, yeah, by the way, he also had a box of 22 caliber ammunition in his hand.
Can I see that? What caliber is that, Uncle? No.
Mr. Allen, where's your 22 caliber firearm? Shouldn't you be shooting a 300 Magnum or something if you want to get people from a distance? Oh, you're going to walk down the hillside? And
Does
also,
it have
Ross,
a light attachment?
not yet. But Ross, how did the boxes of ammunition end up in the seaside shack if Allen is like keeping them in the car. And what is the point of leaving the boxes in the seaside shack?
Right.
I mean, he would have gone down the hillside, shot them, dragged their bodies to the seaside shack. Why are the boxes of ammo there at all? Like, was he carrying the boxes of ammunition when he's committing this crime with the pre-cut lengths of rope and like, oh yeah, gotta have like 3 boxes of 22 caliber ammunition. You never know how many people there could be there. Like 200.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so there's
I'm just seeing so much stuff that's just it's nerve wracking.
So many problems with it. For one, that is like a good 10-15 minute hike down there, and I was telling Jerome it's an even more difficult hike back up. We had all our equipment when we went down there, so it was extremely difficult for us. It gets pretty steep. I mean, I don't know how it changed, but I highly doubt that it was more accessible back then. Over the time, I mean, erosion and whatnot. But so where Bobby's car would have been at before would have been like basically the median of basically the other side of the highway. So they didn't say anything about his what was it again? It's in my episode. I think it's a Chief Kamachi or something like that. And so they didn't say anything about that. Like also a school day, but also like Ned was just saying, as far as similar landscapes, there's 3 or 4 peninsulas like that, like much like Berryessa, how there's all those kind of like copies of it. So like Ned said, if Allen ever did bring them to a peninsula, it doesn't mean it was that Rattlesnake Canyon down there. It could have just been any similar looking. There's probably 1,000 of those in Santa Barbara, I'm going to guess, guys. I'm not from up there, you know what I mean? But I've been up there a few times. And also, like Ned said, as far as like the ambush with like the boxes being left in the shack, there's also the reports of the sniper shooting at the surfers 2 days before. So if Allen's going down there for day trips, he's driving in and out every day now, every couple of days shooting at people. And then what's the likelihood that you're going to, like a highway officer is going to stop you? Hey, man, there's been somebody shooting at people all week. Can I see what's in your trunk? You know what I mean? Like it just greatly increases the likelihood, never mind like the Vern Smith murder. That's 2 days later. Not to say that that's, connected because we don't know, but there's already all like in my episode, you see that we didn't name Allen for Gaviota Beach because we named all local suspects. You already had 3 or 4 guys that had that caliber rifle, that caliber pistol. Of course, the dude that, created the shack, so there's just like probably a lot of people I would think that would be in line before Allen, you know what I mean? Bobby supposedly broke up a fight at school. So, but, so there's like the theories that someone who knew him or whatever, but a lot of people don't think that it was somebody that he went to school with. And then I think what is the most damning evidence that I told Jerome, the blood 75 feet up the bluff shows that the killer most likely got punched in his face, or, him and Bobby, duked it out before Bobby goes down. And all she said was blood on his hands. Well, he's standing next to the ocean and walking out of a creek. He could have washed his hands off on the 1,000 bushes on the way up, or either one of the water bodies. But she didn't say anything about like a bruised up. He came up with a black eye, broken nose. You know what I mean? That would have tracked better with what we know that the crime scene says. So the whole thing was a mess. I thought that was atrocious. It seemed to me like they watched that History Channel thing when Maines and Averett went down there, and they were like, "Oh, this is good. This is good. How can we get this in there?" And then just like jumped off a giant leap, Like,
Ross, my challenge is, how on earth did they know it was June 4th, 1963 when this has happened? Like, and they're just committing all of that to memory that, oh yeah, Mr. Allen had blood on his hands. June 4th, 1963, during the middle of the day, like, I mean, they didn't know what was happening. They didn't know that they were going to be recalling these events 55 years later and so on. And it's just
exactly.
It could have easily happened like, later on in the summer. That could have been sometime when maybe Lee Allen just actually left him in the car for 5 minutes and he cut his hand on something and he was pissed off, so he pushed Connie. How do they know that was June 4th, 1963? Like, where's the certifiable evidence that happened? I don't think so.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, that it was a random senior skip day for Bobby and Linda. Like, now, okay, with Allen, we have him going to the race at RCC. So at least I'll give him this. At least something puts him there. You just don't have that at Gavin. They said that they thought he was living in the area, which like Atascadero didn't really look like it was that close to me when they were showing the maps. You know what I mean? It's still pretty far. So I don't know.
But Ross, where is the racetrack that they're talking about in Riverside? I know about the racetrack in Corona, but
I don't know if it's still there. I think maybe they tore it down and built a new one, something like that. But
There was a racetrack in Riverside, not the Corona racetrack.
Okay, I believe it was Riverside. So I'll give you some synchronicity, Ned. So Graysmith and everybody has Allen there. You know that Rodelli has Shell Cavalli at the race as well, right? So that's two Zodiac suspects at the race. You know what I mean?
Right. I just thought it was in Corona, California, but they're saying the race occurred in Riverside. Maybe they're right, but
I thought it was. I'm not sure it's one of those. I thought it was Riverside. I mean, obviously, like Steve McQueen is down there, so it's a big deal. And apparently, Allen met him, I think, or got a picture with him or something like that. So there's a lot of synchronicity at the race. But
well, yeah, I mean that is a good point though. That Shell Cavalli is, reportedly at that race too, and it's just like these Zodiac connections are just starting to get frustrating at that point when it's just. I mean, if anything, that's a strike against Allen because it shows that lots of people were at the race and it was popular and
yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, but like I was saying, at least we have some publicly known event, whatever that puts Allen there. So okay. And then he called in with the school day, or he took a sick day, right?
That is a strong point. Like even though I don't think Allen was the Zodiac, that's a very strong point. At least for the Bates murder, that he took the day off work the next day.
A little more wiggle room at Zodiac activity to say this is down at Tahigis Beach or whatever that was with Gavio. I just felt like because obviously you guys watch my episode, it's like with the sniper down there for days shooting at randoms. You'd have to have Allen camping down there for 3 or 4 days. But the way they presented it was he drove in and he drove out. So it doesn't make sense with the overall crime pattern going on down there,
All right, though. But here's something, though, about Riverside. I would ask everybody, can you please go over to Ross Geraci's channel, Planet X Filmworks, and watch his Riverside episode when you and your co-host did the reenactment explanation about Riverside crimes, and you made perhaps the most convincing argument that the killer was right-handed. Lee Allen was famously left-handed. Yeah. So that's an enormous strike against him being the murderer of Sherry Jo Bates. And you guys provided all of your reasons in that episode. And even if you're saying Lee Allen's ambidextrous, he was left-hand dominant, and he's going to murder Sherry Jo Bates that way with his right hand.
So me and Beeson had a little convo behind the scenes about this, and like Allen is, well, okay, we'll say 66. We'll just make the argument that he's not as heavy as he is in 69. Fine. But you think he would have struggled with Sherry? Because the watch is a 7-inch band, which is a skinnier guy, and the shoe size is, did they say Allen is 10.5 or that they think he's like around that? So the shoe size is nearly a bit smaller. I don't think it's a guy as heavy as Allen. And even if it was, why would he have struggled with Sherry for like 15 minutes to get her down when she only weighs like 100-something pounds? You know what I mean? Like Allen would have just pushed her straight to the ground and be done with it. You know what I mean? And it was a very small knife at that. Going off what Ned said, if you're one of these Riverside activity is a definite Zodiac activity people, then, the right hand would track for Riverside and for Berryessa. But it's two completely different knives. There's just a lot of stuff, like we were saying. Like, it's a very small. That's why I don't know that Sherry was like, it could have been like someone stalking her or whatever and planning to do something to her. But I don't think it was necessarily planned for that moment. Like, I think they saw her go in and out of the library or followed her there. Right. And then it's like, okay, so now it's going down right now. It's like, this might've been something you had in your head, but you weren't probably necessarily ready for it to go down in that moment. And then that's why there's the struggle. She fights back and scratches it. Obviously the assailant seems like they weren't ready for that. There's just like a lot of things that go wrong with Sherry, Like,
by the way, I just read on my Zodiac Monday episode, it was reported that Allen was a 10.5 for his shoe, but I mean, he's 6 feet tall. You would expect, I would think that he would have a larger shoe size. I'm 5'8" and I wear a 10.5. And I mean, not every 6 foot person is going to wear size 12 or something, but I would expect larger.
I don't even think it's a 10.5 at Sherry. I think because that heel print is like 8 to 10 inches. Honestly, I think it might be an 8 or a 9 size shoe at Riverside. You know what I mean? Which is like a way smaller guy than Allen. Or I don't think it's someone who's 6 feet. I think it's someone who is probably like maybe a little bit bigger than Sherry. In height and weight, and that's why she's a cheerleader. She's an athlete, and so like in your head you're thinking, oh, I'm going to overpower this little girl. And this is how I imagine the psychology of the coward at the Riverside activity. He starts having serious trouble when he tries to take her down. Doesn't expect that she's going to fight back, it totally throws off his plan. And that's why you could see the whole scene is like, dug up with the dirt and stuff because they were struggling in the ground. He was struggling to finish her, Just
That should
Plus-
eliminate Ross Sullivan then, because I mean, if you're going to talk about how Lee
6'3",
Allen should be
250.
300 pounds,
Plus, Connie Seawater claims that she was at the library with Mr. Allen.
And you know what? That's fine. That may be true. I mean, I highly doubt I would put them all there at the same moment, like it's a graphic novel. But like, even if he brought her somewhere to see sometime at point that weekend to see that quadrangle building, doesn't really mean anything.
No.
I'm sure, like me and Ned said, as far as Sherry's timeline, because if they're not there when she's walking out of the library with their books and the dude pulls the coil out of the distributor coil out of her car, it doesn't, Allen could have just been there. I bet a lot of people from the race walked around Riverside that day and went to the RCC lot, you know what I mean? So it's probably not that uncommon, but for them to, if she was like, okay, Allen took the blonde cheerleader around the corner, then it's like, you were standing right there and you didn't think something was going on. You know what I mean? You heard the girl scream in the alleyway and did nothing. Even a kid would report that,
But now,
No,
wait
for
a
the-
second, Ross. This is something that's very important because the Zodiac of the late 1960s is very calculating. He's very aware of the crime scenes. He seems to
Yep.
know what he is doing and how to avoid getting caught.
Yep.
And you're bringing 1, 2, or 3 witnesses to your
Yeah.
crime scenes and leaving children unsupervised in a vehicle for
Mhm.
X amount of time.
Not even locked in a
Sorry.
car, so they could just get
No.
out and they follow you. Like Jerome saying, they could have followed down that
Yeah.
path and went and seen the entire events of Domingo-Edwards, and then you would have not one person, well, not the 3, the assailant and the 2 victims, but 2 to 3 witnesses. It just, they should have stayed away from it. I think they probably had producers. Someone probably managed to dig up my episode and was, Gaviota Beach. Hey, this is good stuff. Let's get that in there. It's like, I approach it from a totally different perspective. If you guys saw, I could have said it was Allen too, right? But I didn't for a reason.
Many problem in the story. First, no bruise on the face of Arthur Lee Allen for Gaviota Beach.
Yeah.
No bruise for Cherry Jo Bates.
Yep.
There is a
she
big
literally had the skin under her nails. So if they wanted to, that's what drives me crazy, Ned, is they're not even analyzing this and deconstructing the evidence from a perspective that would pan out these narratives. They said, hey, he came back with the scratches on his, you know what I mean? That's what you would expect, like from her nails, but they couldn't even think of that.
Oh, yes. But there was one thing here. Somebody was asking about the speeding ticket that Lee Allen would have received on the day of Lake Berryessa. Well, I mean, believe it or not, I accept that Lee Allen did not go to Lake Berryessa, that he went to Salt Point Ranch instead. Yeah. And the speeding ticket, this is going off of a couple different sources. And I think I read this actually in the Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 86, when it said that the speeding ticket was not from Lee Allen. That was from a different motorist out of Ukiah, California. Am I saying that right, Ross? UKIAH, Ukiah?
I think so. I'm not a native Californian.
Ukiah, California. And the problem, though, with the Great Zodiac Hoax of 86 was it also said that the motorist had the 2 bloody knives in his car, but that story does not come from the motorist, and Tom Voigt even called that one out. He was like, Arthur Lee Allen made up the story about the bloody knives, or he reported it. It's on page 5 of the Mullinax report, which is available on zodiackiller.com. So I can accept the part about how there's just this other person who got the speeding ticket, but I think the thing that's more certifiable is, Lee Allen got the parking ticket, or what is it? It's some type of traffic ticket. I don't know if it's a parking ticket or a speeding ticket. For some reason, I thought it was a parking ticket. And then that's on March 13th, 1971. Then the Zodiac mails the letter from Pleasanton, California. Now, that makes me suspicious of Lee Allen. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I like him as a letter runner for that in Drew's theory. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I don't know how much I can put on Allen besides, maybe adding, whatever vocabulary and adding to the letters. But more importantly, like I was going to ask you, Ned, what exactly did Graysmith say? Because I think he said he was stopped. I didn't hear he got a ticket. So I think what he was trying to insinuate is like, and I'm like, how do you guys know this? Where's the report? Where's the highway patrol officer's report that I stopped Arthur Lee Allen at 7:08, September 27th driving back, you know what I mean? And then like the bloody knives are just too much, that it was definitely a story that Allen told when they interviewed him. But as far as Graysmith retelling it, like Jerome was saying, like he was just driving out of there with the bloody knife directly out of his sheath that Brian saw, it sounded crazy. No, he's talking about a different
son of Sam. One. Ned, that's probably what you're thinking of. Oh, yes. The son of Sam, got busted because of the parking ticket. But Lee Allen definitely got some type of traffic citation on March 13th of 1971, and that's why they think the letter was mailed from Pleasanton. Now, Ross, to answer your question, I was referencing the book, The Great Zodiac Killer Hoax of 86, and that's written by Thomas Horan, and he just says it's flat-out graysmithing about Lee Allen was the one who got the speeding ticket. He's like, like about graysmithing, taking the two ideas that don't belong and putting them together. Now, he may have had a mistake later on about the two knives, but we all know that Graysmith did this stuff. He would blend the facts with the falsehoods, the facts with the fiction. That could be a very good example of that.
Yeah, I felt like he was doing quite a bit of that in this 3-part series. Honestly, I was pretty disappointed with the Graysmith appearance, given he hasn't faced a camera since 2007. I expected a lot more from him, and he kind of just let the Seawaters take the lead. And he was and then he would come in with reactions like, yeah, what they said. Allen was there, and he just kind of like co-signed it. And I was like, it's just the Seawaters and Graysmith co-signing each other. That's how I felt. I mean, I know I've had people message me that are, very smart, people that are into other cases that have been like, hey, this kind of swayed me on Allen, and I'm hitting with them like Allen doesn't match any of the evidence. Hartnell talked to Allen face to face. There's tons of audio and video of him. I just don't think we have that much audio and video of the Zodiac. That's my opinion on it.
All right, though, I wish Druzer was on here because he talks a lot about Graysmith's research process, and Graysmith did provide a little bit of a window into that. We can talk to Druzer if he gets on. But you must remember the part, Ross, about how Graysmith is saying that he had all the boxes with the evidence and the files, not so much the physical evidence, but the reports. So many boxes that he had to get a bigger apartment. And I mean, that's what he said. I'm not making that one up. He did say that. And it's just like Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie Zodiac with all like the Zodiac boxes around the apartment. Graysmith is saying that that's real. But of course, as we said, Druzer likes to throw water on this stuff. And he's like, I don't really know how much Graysmith was reading the reports and had this stuff in his home. And
a lot of people are highlighting. So you referred, Ned, to the part where he goes, the guy brought me in the evidence room and he was like, I got to go make a cup of coffee. And I just stood around. And then the guy came back and checked on me and said, oh man, I think I got to go to get another report. As in they were just giving Graysmith full access and letting him do whatever he wanted in there. I mean, I think Voight has pushed back on that publicly, saying that was more of a movie narrative thing. But
there is also the story about Graysmith is like sitting in a restaurant with the detectives, and then like they're that's what the thing I said when they're drinking coffee. He says over coffee in a restaurant that he's sitting with the detectives and they handed him the file and they let him read the file while they were talking, and that's the story that I was referencing. And I mean, Druzer's saying that he doesn't even think that was true, and I was like, I criticized Graysmith to the nth degree, but I was like, I didn't doubt that. But Druzer's saying, no, I don't think that happened either. And
I think it's one of those things that really doesn't affect either. I mean, he says it right there in this documentary. And sorry for all the people who, if you guys haven't watched it yet, we're going in super deep and we're blowing it for you. But I'm going to just give my opinion. You're not missing much. And he says, I gave him everything I had. And what did that amount to? They looked at Arthur Lee Allen a couple times, searched his trailer, and what did we get out of that? It's not like they found a hood, So it's like,
there is some details we don't care. When you say I was at the restaurant eating my chicken and writing notes, okay, and well, what?
They got all those scenes in the movie with him and Toshki meeting up and going to the restaurants and what amounts to it, it's just not really. So did you guys see this thing that dropped that Voight just shared? It's this guy Trey's channel. It's called Citizen. This is the Zodiac speaking. He actually
saw the link. Like I saw like the thumbnail. Someone posted on the group. groups. I haven't watched it yet.
He's got some cool stuff in there. The audio gets messed up at the end, which is probably why it didn't drop for a while, but it covers some of those anniversaries that they do at the canonical sites like Lake Herman, Blue Rock, and they had like Tom and Sandy, Eddie, everybody's in there. You know what I mean? Just like it seems like the last few years that they did. I don't know if it was before COVID. I don't know exactly when they filmed it. It seems like they sat on it for a while. But man, I forgot where I was going with that. But Tom had said something, said some interesting stuff in there. So you guys should check that out. It will come back to me.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's worth the watch. Yeah.
Jerome, do you want to do some things from the chat, or did you have some more stuff to go over?
I don't think there is any question. If you have any question in the chat, put question before your question.
I'm trying to think of what even happened in those episodes. I know in the first one, it seemed like they focused more on the media angle, and I thought that's when they were doing their best. Once they brought in, I think, Graysmith in the second one towards the end, I know they definitely started losing me. And then the third, I thought, was just like, it didn't really make any sense as a conclusion as where they took it. They brought in Voight, but he didn't really get to talk Geik. I think if they were going to bring in Voight, be like, hey, bring something else up other than Allen, please. You know, but I'm not even a Geik guy, but bring up Geik and just be like, hey, Allen was in the mix, but this is why I have Geik in the mix too. At the bare minimum, say that. And then Susanna comes in, and I'm not sure. I don't know why they wouldn't have her mention the Riverside work that she did, you know?
All right. And yes, prior to the start of this episode, we were all saying how much we appreciate Susanna Ryan, and she's been a contributor to the Citizen Detective podcast. And again, these are the spoilers. One of the Seawaters, and his name isn't Seawater. He has a different last name, but he's the brother of the Seawaters. He was in possession of the knife that was owned by Arthur Lee Allen, and they did a test to determine whether or not that knife had blood on it. And it looked like it had blood on it based on Susanna Ryan's analysis, doing it in the lab. She's like, okay, this is blood. And then they sent the knife for DNA testing. And apparently the results are going to be in the possession of law enforcement. But for us in the audience, it's like, what does that mean? You're just like not going to reveal anything? Well, yeah. Is it relevant at all? He had a knife with blood on it?
That's the whole point.
It
doesn't matter. Yeah. That's the whole point. It doesn't matter. They're going to do the test in front of you for the camera, and they're never going to release the results, as Ned was saying before. So it's not going to have any impact either way. But I mean, here's a point I want to make. Arthur Lee Allen was like a biology student with like squirrels and stuff. He could have been using that knife to cut animals, you know what I mean? Or according to himself, chickens, as Jerome brought up a few times. So I think it's one of those things that's going to have zero impact.
Right, because that's what I was saying. Like, okay, it's blood, but is it human blood? I mean,
they said because of the rusty consistency color, like Ned was saying, and I'm thinking, how do you even know? So if that knife came in with contact with blood, and 20, 30 years later, is it still going to have the same? You're still going to be able to tell that, basically. Like, it's not like the day after Sherry was stabbed, you found the knife or something, so you know it. You know what I mean? If it sits there for 30 years, well, it looks like this blood dried on here 30 years ago. Like, the description kind of was weird to me, Like,
yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, I think that was a little bit of theater. And you guys were asking at the beginning, like, how much money did they put into this thing? I think a lot, because it's definitely well produced, well packaged. I mean, the editing is like mega fast. They're just kind of like jumping from one scene to another, and it's done in a very engaging way. And they have lots of presenters, not just Voight and Graysmith, but everybody else who participates. They have archival footage. They have the Seawaters, and they also have the stories of going through the evidence, like the box of papers and the correspondences between Phyllis and Arthur Lee Allen. Yeah, it's well made in some regards, but
I just thought the editing got like worse as it went on. You know what I mean? Like I liked, like I said, the Chronicle stuff, and I'm probably over analyzing it just because, like, you know what I mean? That's what I do. But when they were showing like the newspaper stuff and the Chronicle printing the papers, I was like, yeah, that's getting the point to people that the articles were coming out on Zodiac. He was writing letters responding to it. It was like establishing that, which, like Jerome's saying, if you're new to the case, that's an important thing to know, because I don't know there's really that back and forth in any other case between the killer and the media, like putting Jack the Ripper aside because we don't know if it's confirmed. And then I don't like. Okay, here's one I'll give you, Ned. When they showed Lake Berryessa, I thought it was a totally missed opportunity of their depiction of it, because they tell you he walks out in this hood and they only cut to the hood like 2 times for like 1 second, and as he's walking they're focusing on the Z logo, but you could have seen that anywhere. You could have seen that on the letters, the car door, the million other places he drew it. You only get to see the hood once, and they didn't even show it hardly. I was like, wow, fail, that's just me.
But like, Ross, where is all that stuff in the Seawater story about, like, what did Lee Allen do with the hood? What did he do with the Wingwalker shoes he was wearing at Lake Berryessa? I mean, What did he do with the firearms that could be connected to the canonicals? Yep. What did he do with Paul Stein's wallet? Where is all the incriminating physical evidence? Because I'm just not...
Yeah. Well, that's kind of... Good.
Well, just like what Vincent McConnell likes to bring up on the New Cokes channel is Arthur Lee Allen did have the bombs in his house, right? Years later, but he had bombs in his house. And, I mean, is that not some type of incriminating evidence? And it's not on par with everything that I just listed.
No.
The hood, the wallet.
Yeah. What he said was, my friend gave me that. I mean, in bringing in Drew's theory, how do we know that wasn't Donald Lee Cheney? Here, man, hold on to my pipe bombs for me, or just leave him at his house and not even tell him, So he said, you know what I mean? But I mean, not to say that goes either way, but it's not really the right bomb. But yeah, like Ned was about to say, Paul Stein's wallet, keys, pieces of his shirt, the hood, the knife, even the gun from Berryessa would do it for me. It seems like it's 2 different firearms on Lake Herman and Blue Rock. But that's kind of what I was saying to you before, is like, they bring the canonicals in and out of the narrative in between the Seawater stories. So like by the time, so it was the Salt Ranch thing. He was a skin diver. He made his own skin diving suit. That's essentially what they were establishing, was he made his own skin diver suit. So he made his own Zodiac hood. You know what I mean? Which it really ain't the same thing. You know what I mean? It really ain't the same thing. And then, it was like the Salt Point Ranch story that you guys were saying, and then he got stopped on the way out. Trust me, if there was some guy who told them that he told the officers that he went up there, hey, I didn't go exactly to Lake Berryessa, that Zodiac Island spot, but I went to Salt Point Ranch a little bit, past it. And then on the way back, I got pulled over with bloody knife in my car, just like wrapped in the newspaper with Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard's blood all over it. And he said, and the officer who pulled me over, Highway Patrol, said, what is that? Oh, I just made my dinner of chickens. Okay, have a nice day. You're free to go. You know what I mean? We're not looking for any serial killer here. Like a guy who told him he was going up there and then had the bloody knife on the way out. Plus, they really didn't mention that phone call at Napa, did they? Or maybe Grace Smith. I missed a lot. I should rewatch, but I feel like they just didn't mention a bunch of things, So like, what the hell? They talked about Slover. They didn't talk about Slate.
Well, that's a good point, Ross, because like, I know we've kind of like alluded to this, and you've kind of brought this up before, but if there was a speeding ticket, there should be some documented evidence that Lee Allen's driving on this road, pulled over by the cop, the citation, all of that stuff. If we have the one from March 13th, 1971, then we should have the one from September 27th of 69, and that wouldn't even be completely incriminating evidence, because maybe he did drive to Salt Point Ranch on the same roads, and Lee Allen lived in Vallejo, so it's not impossible that he wouldn't be in these areas. I mean, he is in those areas.
Yeah, but if you have something on Allen, prove it.
I mean, that's the thing.
They can't.
If it never came up, I mean, one thing I always thought was like weird, and we've all debunked it now, is like how hard they pushed him in the movie when Grace Smith tells Tashi that Allen called him on his birthday, and and then it's well known that like Tashi didn't even think he knew half that stuff was flat out wrong. You know what I mean? So it's a similar type of thing. Whereas if you are stuck in the narrative of Grace Smith's book, then you'll see enough evidence for it to be Allen. But the fact is, in actuality, not that much of it exists unless I have somebody like Cheney playing him. Because I don't really. And sure, I agree with us all that when it started, Allen probably thought it was pretty cool. I'm going to wear my watch in there. I'm going to tell him the Salt Point Ranch story. I'm going to taunt him. And that seems cool at first when you're anti-establishment, anti-police. I am both myself. I don't know how deep in that rabbit hole I would put myself that Allen went swimming in, because after 5 years of a police investigation, 10 years, they're knocking on your door all the time, raiding your place. it starts to lose the luster, right? It's not as cool as it
Yes.
first was when you went in there and you taunted him that first time, because now they're effing with you every freaking month and calling you up. Hey, Mr. Al, come back in. We want to questioning you nonstop. It gets old. It gets old fast. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, yes, because it would start out as Allen knew he wasn't the Zodiac, so he could do those things, and they wouldn't have the physical evidence to, well, do anything. They wouldn't even get a warrant because they didn't have the physical evidence. Then, as you said, they're going to pressure him until he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
Allen obviously hated cops because of that deathbed letter, of his death letter, saying, like, you know, what's the exact phrasing, Ross, when it's just like, you know, like, he wishes like peace on earth to everyone except the Vallejo PD and so on.
Yeah, I wish the worst. Yeah, like I wish the worst for them or something like that, which you can see the vendetta right there. So that's why I know Ned, you so this is a good point to talk about something that was well done. Rita, the interview with Rita, who interviewed Arthur Lee Allen. This was in the 3rd episode. This is probably one of the better scenes I was telling you, in my opinion, Jerome. She's the lady that we all see go in there with kind of the shadowy footage of Allen saying, you know, I'm not the damn Zodiac, the infamous news clip that we've all seen. And then they go, you know, she talked about he died a year later, so she would have liked to gone and spoken with him again and things of that nature. But I know, Ned, you were kind of thinking it was like BS-y the way he was like putting on the front, but like I actually believe it, because I think 20 years after, well, that was 69. So by the time they questioned him, like early 70s. So yeah, by the 90s, I think he's sick of it, you know, like, and if Cheney's still playing him, he's screwed, you know? So.
Now, wait a second, Ross. I made those comments specifically about the line, sometimes it can be terribly depressing. That's the stuff I always poke fun at him for. The thing about I'm not the damn Zodiac, I give credit to Lee Allen for that, because I am critical of people who don't directly deny stuff, like other Zodiac killer
100%.
Suspects out there who get confronted
100%.
and they don't directly say no. Lee Allen said, I'm not the damn Zodiac. He said no, and he wrote it in his deathbed letter, and it's more like a death chair letter, not to be technical.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy
death
letter.
table letter or something, whatever you want to call it.
That's probably one of the better parts, is when they show him on the floor and they can kind of read what the letter says and stuff, because I think that kind of, so like Ned just said, we have him going in with the watch when they questioned him the first time. He said he wasn't. It's a crazy line to say, I'm not the Zodiac, and if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you. That's an insane thing to say to the investigators, but it still tracks with what he says on TV. I'm not the damn Zodiac. And then that final death letter, his final statement, he did stay on one narrative. It never, he might have played around with the watch in the beginning, and like we said, but I don't know. I think it came kind of consistent towards the end, where he's not really taking any major credit. I don't, like Drew says all the time, I don't think that dude can construct the ciphers. We never saw any, like, I know people say he had codes in his house, but I don't know. I don't know that we ever saw enough from him as in terms of. One thing that is weird about him, when I was looking it up earlier, guys, is when he got his dishonorable discharge, he brought a 45 onto the base, and that's apparently what they court-martialed him for, like an illegal 45 unregistered or something. So that's a weird thing to do. So I don't know if that tracks with a pattern of violence or whatever. But like, other than that, I can't think of any other than the stories that Spinelli tells in the documentary that we were talking about, Ned, where the door explodes and he breaks up this fight. Then Graysmith writes in Zodiac that Arthur Lee Allen beat up 4 Marines by himself. I really don't believe that story. That sounds like Marvel Universe fighting. So I've never really seen any, like, him do anything outwardly violent that we can prove, Like,
but as you just said, the Navy stuff, a lot of people think that codes are very frequently used in the Navy. And, Ken Maines on the History Channel made us think that everyone in the Navy learned codes. Do you think he could have learned the codes in his Navy days?
It's possible, but not at the level that Zodiac constructed him.
No.
Unless Zodiac is an idiot, because Ned has a interview with David Oranchek over at Black Box Online Radio that you guys need to go check out. He is the cipher, the Z340, 14 years to decipher it. So because he made the mistake in the diagonal thing, bigrims and so on. Ned's got other shows covering this. I'm not the math guy. I'm not going to pretend to be, but you guys see what I'm getting at. If it's a real great idea to create the cipher and then you mess it up while you're making it anyway, so no one could get your solution. I mean, what's the point? No, without the computer, I don't think they would have broke it down. So
I think they messed up the 408 too, but I mean, we should say he messed up the 408 because, I mean, Richard Grinnell and Michael Cole have been very loud voices on this about the reason why we have the Z18 code at the bottom is because the Zodiac wanted to divide the 408 into 3 parts. Really, it's supposed to be the 390, but it's going to have 130 in each section. But he wrote out too many in one section, right? So then he had to put more characters into each section. So we had to add an additional 18 to even it out. Otherwise, you would know that the final section has fewer characters. Well, this is clearly the bottom. All right, so let's put it in this order, then that order. And they would have figured it out so much more quickly. But not that it took long. It's just messed up the 408, messed up the 340. And I mean, like, you know, there are so many mistakes in the 340 to the point where he wrote the wrong character, had to cross it out and write the backwards K in above there. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I kind of like how he did that, though, because at that point, you knew where he was just, like, committing to it. Like, hey, if this is going to be a mess anyway, you guys deal with it. You know? It's kind of funny anyway. Good luck.
That is one lazy motherfucker. He's like, I'm not writing this thing over again.
That's genius. I mean, you can see, honestly, like, the way some of them, the letters are written, you could tell that he wrote them pretty fast. Like, when it's, like, they're, like, kind of, like, diagonal leaning, like super almost like cursive curvy, because you could tell he just like banged it out, and it's like, hey, whatever this one says, cool, you know, same type of thing. But this is a good point for us to bring up what they what I can give the challenge question to you guys. How they presented it in Netflix was he was teaching elementary school kids coding. So do you buy that? Do you guys buy that one? What did you think about that sequence when he's writing the stuff on the chalkboard with the letter substitutions, which is like, that's what they were getting at, was he was teaching his classes, you know, coding, which I thought made absolutely no sense.
I mean, I'm really not too, I really don't think too highly of the Zodiac's code so far. And something like that, if in an elementary class, I think could possibly work because, as we said, the Zodiac seems like he knows a little bit about codes, but not an enormous amount. So I think that would work. But
I don't know. I just don't think Zodiac's an elementary school teacher by profession, but you know, maybe my research is off. You know what I mean?
I have no idea on that. Like, that could go in so many ways. And look at this, Ross. Though we got suspects that are millionaire auto executives. We have suspects who are janitors. We have suspects like Lee Allen who are job hopping child molesters. We have people like Don Chaney who are job hopping engineers that move from place to place doing pipe stress analysis and so on. And I can't really pinpoint the Zodiac's occupation. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, it seems more sophisticated than Arthur Lee Allen in more ways than one. You know what I mean? But again, you know, going by the letters. Go ahead.
No, to say, what if the Zodiac turns out to be Shel Cavalli or John Parr Cox, people who are just like millionaire transportation executives, and like, you thought I was some dumb elementary school teacher who like was teaching kids the ABCs and how to count.
That's why it works, because it's so far off the map. You know, I could understand. I don't know about Cox, but I could understand Zodiac being a guy that never, like, this is Jerome's argument for Sandy. You know, the show we just did was Cheney and Sandy, and in that scenario, Sandy is the Cavalier. You know, it's the rich guy no one's looking at, which makes a little bit of sense for Zodiac. I mean, I know Brian thought he was low class because of how he was dressed at Berryessa. So it's I don't know, a rich guy like posing as a lower class guy doesn't really make that much sense to me. That seems like almost like a Jack the Ripper scenario. But yeah, I don't know. I thought what they did with the coding thing in the classroom was a little bit much. It didn't really. For that being Alan's coding background, I'm like, come on, like, you know, they do the same thing. You know, obviously, like, Moore found it for Macduff. They do the same, the coding book. Well, that's what they showed in the Netflix, right? It was the scene from the movie with Gyllenhaal pulling out all the coding books out of the libraries. Look, hey, all of these books are missing from these libraries. Okay, guys.
But Jerome, we have a very good question here in the chat, and it's one that I can't actually answer, but it's from Rob Beansman at the 52-minute mark. This is one from Rob.
Yeah, I saw that.
Rob says, was it Graysmith who claimed ALA would dive down and hide evidence underwater? Serious question. I don't actually know the answer to this. I hope one of you does. But I would admit that that's a really good place to hide the physical evidence. like
Yeah.
the guns, the
Oh
hood.
yeah, for a skin diver, yeah, that would work. I mean, that would be one of the few things I thought worked for Allen. I mean, I like the fishing background, the way they had him boating. I personally think it could be likely Zodiac's a fisherman due to all the water locations, the water sacrifice. So I think that works pretty good. But other than that, there's just not much. I mean, the Gaviota story, they would have been better off saying that he took the sailboat down there and went in the water. Like.
That is just something else they brought up about Allen, that he was a very accomplished sailor as well as a diver. We all know about the diving, but when Connie Seawater is telling the story about how she made a mistake while sailing and the boat is like just going into the water, not capsizing, but it's going that way.
Flaps,
and
the sails slap the water.
Mr. Allen knew exactly what to do about how to stabilize the boat. And okay, but this is discussed in Zodiac Unmasked that the way that Lee Allen is able to do this is he would just kind of sink more and more into debt and not really care. I mean, I just remember that like there's a paragraph on that in Zodiac Unmasked. That's why he's able to buy all these things like the sailboat, and so I guess nothing Allen does really has, a silver lining.
Yeah, he's just like a random, vagabond type of suspect, like you said, with the job hopping. I mean, one thing I thought that was a little bit obnoxious in the Graysmith book was when, and I think he did say something about this in the movie, was how he was like, chilling out outside Allen's house and following him around in the night and stuff, and following him in cars and stuff. And it's like, dude, you thought that was the Zodiac and you were following him around all night long while he was switching cars. Never says anything about carrying a gun with him at any point. I'm surprised the Zodiac didn't shoot you in the face the way that he shot all those random people that he obviously wasn't concerned about taking the risk of. And he thinks you're following him around while he's changing cars to go do crimes. So, I mean, it depends. It depends how much Graysmith you take with a grain of salt,
But Jerome, did you want to bring up that question from Mikey Bananas?
Yeah,
you just had right there. What did you think about the link, the History Channel Albany letter cipher finding of Connie Henley and the link to Connie Seawater because her mother's maiden name was Hensley?
Yeah, that's decent.
Something
the code we was breaking, and
that's decent. I kind of forgot where they were going with that in the documentary. I know they brought it up because they were like, hey, History Channel, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't realize they were actually connecting it to Connie Seawater. So that kind of slipped past me. But it's decent. It's something, like Ned said. I don't think it's crazy, but it's something.
But, there is a problem with that, because if Alan, which for the Seawater is the Zodiac, knows the phone number of Connie, he must know his address. It's logic. If you know the phone number of somebody, you know his address.
Yeah.
And she stated that she's really happy that Alan never find her. But if he was allowed to find her phone, he was allowed to find her address. So it didn't make sense. And for the canonical crime, other stuff she stated that they were on the crime scene before or after, and even on Presidio Heights they were on a house. But the problem with that, those house there in Presidio Heights cost millions. So you have Lee Allen with a millionaire,
a school teacher from Vallejo. He just happens to know people that live in downtown Presidio Heights. It doesn't even. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's Lee Oswald with George de Morenchild. The poor guy who the rich man. It's no way. No.
Yeah,
way.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
Okay,
it's another one of the things that didn't connect. Go ahead, Ed.
We have one thing in the chat, though, that I would like a piece of clarity on from Shake Dog Shake. This is at the 01 minute mark, where it says, on the other hand, you have a suspect who claims that he was adored by the Zodiac. And Shake Dog Shake, who is that suspect you're referring to? Ross or Jerome, do you know what that is?
No.
What's that all about?
On the other hand, you have a suspect who claimed that he was adored by the Zodiac.
I don't know who Shake likes. Allen and Cheney. That's the only duo we have, right? That we like.
Well, just
Jake,
somebody who
it,
says that
it
they
is
knew the Zodiac Killer and the Zodiac Killer liked them. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about Sandy Betts, but she's not a suspect, of course. I mean,
no, no,
she.
but I think Shake,
Oh,
Doc Shake is on the
Farron,
Discord.
Zodiac knowing Farron. I don't know who the suspect is though, or suspect. Yeah, not sure.
He was adored by the Zodiac, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Shake Dog
Try,
Shake, if you're still
try
here,
to be
please
more
jump in.
precise, please, Jake.
Oh, he's alluding to Ed Edwards.
I don't know anything about Edwards.
Well, Ed Edwards was a real
I don't
serial
know.
killer. He targeted couples that were parked in cars and lovers' lanes, and he was reportedly in the Bay Area at the time. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
No, he was not the Zodiac
something,
Killer.
but
That's interesting.
I mean, it's interesting. It's as we said, there's no hard evidence.
I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, you got Joseph Stephen Holt up there in South Lake Tahoe that looks like he killed quite a few people, you know what I mean, and probably attacked more. So, I mean, you got just completely random ones in the Bay Area.
Ross, I mean, Joseph Stephen Holt might actually have killed Donna Lass. And as you guys were talking about that on your channel, right? And we were talking about it on the panel discussion show too. And I don't know, I'm thinking more and more about him, like not just as a suspect or person of interest. He may have actually murdered Donna Lass because maybe during his younger days and so on. And I don't know enough about him to say 100% about his movements on September 6th of 1970, but he looks extremely guilty in that case.
Yeah, did you see the article of the composite sketch that looks exactly like his face? And it was like I think it was either one couple or two couples that were chilling on like a mountain trail, and he walked up with like a shotgun with like those like light load buckshots and just started blasting them just totally randomly like a psychopath. And I think they survived. But Druzer dug up the composite sketch, and I think his brother Adam's the one who found that stuff. And when you see the composite sketch, like unlike the Zodiac case, it pretty much matches that Holt's face. You know what I mean? Like the same weird, wiry, like mustache, same haircut, same face. So it seems like he was probably doing crazy stuff up there that we don't even know of.
Sure. So, but like as far as Donna Lass goes, that matches his MO with the other murders, abductions, murdering them, transporting the bodies to dump sites,
calling and saying they can't make their shift, and he also is involved in real estate.
And you would think with a crime that occurred like 7 years before Bryn Rainey that he would drive Donna to the Yuba Gap, someplace real far away from Lake Tahoe, and then slowly get closer and closer. Oh, they're not going to figure this out anyway. Well, they did. Just you were dead already, Joseph Holt. He's down there with Lee Allen, just drinking flat beer somewhere.
Yeah, agreed. Jerome, you want to pull up this one from Omar? 315. Why do you think ALA took the Seawaters with him near the crime scene? So we were discussing that at length, and I think most of us don't. I mean, you could put them in Riverside, which technically is the city where Sherry happened, on Halloween weekend. But as far as Gaviota, I mean, that would be absolutely insane. I mean, we don't. Here's the thing, like we were saying, taking all that time with the children, like Jerome was saying, and getting the ammo out of your trunk and that highway. I mean, I don't know how trafficked it was in 63 because I went there in 2023. Dude, there was like a million cars driving by, Ned. If you were just standing there loading a 22 automatic rifle in front of everybody and getting the ammo boxes and coming back with your hands all bloody. Plus, another thing I was going to say about that is Officer Paul Schultz, Jerome, when they went and contacted him because they were like, hey, Bobby's missing, Linda's missing, but we know where his car is at. He pulled up as soon as they got him. He went down there with them. So you got to think if dudes were just coming in and out like a conveyor belt, like Alan, like as they propose in Netflix, it would have been really highly likely for a CHP officer to be driving by and being like, hey, what's going on with the automatic rifle you're loading in your trunk? You know what I mean? In plain view, it's unlikely.
But Ross, the question is, why do you think the ALA took the Seawaters with him near the crime scenes? Did the Netflix show even provide a single reason why those kids were there at the crime scenes? Did they ever just say, this is why Lee Allen brought them to the crime scenes? It's like, you know what? I'm babysitting today. It's a good day for homicide. Like, what else do you have other than that?
He only takes the kids when he's committing a crime.
The only thing we have is, I think it's Connie or whatever, one of the Seawater, saying that it was a release for her mother, for the mother to don't have to manage three children.
Yeah.
This is the only thing, the only.
Well, that's from Phyllis's side, but like Ned was saying, how
Yeah,
does it make sense from Alan's side? He's watching the kids at times when he's planning to go kill Sherry, go kill Bobby
doesn't make any sense. Any sense.
Amanda.
Any
I've said this
sense.
once already on this last year. And my biggest problem is they're saying Arthur Lee Allen went to the store and he bought beer and 22 caliber ammunition. It's like,
Yeah,
let's see,
you
what
are
do
a
I do
kid.
for my shopping trip? 22
Uh,
caliber ammunition and beer. That's it. That's it. All right, let me take these three kids down to the beach to kill people, and they have to wait in the car. It's
One problem, they jumped the gun on him buying the ammo at the Vandenberg PX because Carpenter and all of Santa Barbara Sheriff's PD department, they investigated that for months of trying to find the lot number on those boxes that Ned was referring to in the shack.
yes.
And ultimately what comes of that is those lot numbers are sold from multiple distributors. So it's not just like it's a smoking gun. That it definitely came from Vandenberg. So it's either a soldier that is stationed at Vandenberg, or one of the military family members that have PX access for the military IDs. Doesn't make sense. There's a same Santa Barbara ammo shop that sold the same lot number. They just as easily could have had Allen going there, but it
The History
didn't
Channel
pan out.
didn't present it that way, though.
Yeah.
The History Channel did not present it that way. They're like, nope, it was traced back to, Vandenberg Air Force Base and to that store because of the lot numbers. That's just like the end of the discussion.
John Averett knows that lot number is sold at multiple stores. They didn't ask him. They were just like, hey, John, you're coming on set. And they probably didn't tell him what they were going to say. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure his 5-part series that Voight posted says that, if I'm mistaken. Another issue is it came out of a battle pack, which is like 1,000 rounds. So it doesn't have like the individual price tags on it. So for Allen to just come out with those two little boxes that Ned was referring to, I was expecting to be coming out with a massive case like, hey kids, I bought 1,000 rounds, we're going shooting, like
I don't know which one of the brothers stayed that, but I'm quoting him. He stayed, everything comes back in my mind when I've seen the Zodiac movie. But in the Zodiac movie, there is no Gaviota Beach. There is Cherry Joe, okay,
yeah.
but they don't talk about Domingos and Edwards.
Well, that's because it's unconfirmed. I mean, so they talk about because that connection comes up much later in the timeline. They talk about Riverside because they're following Paul Avery and Phil Sins, the slow boat to China letter, and then there's some misconstruction as to if Avery was tipped off by a letter. He said he got a phone call. Like there's a disconnect between him and Phil Sins. Obviously, Zodiac responds to the letter Ned was referring to, my Riverside activity. So that's his response to. So that's why you get the fanfare in the movie.
And Gray Smith, who claimed that the Zodiac took the cab of Paul Stein just before a cinema we were playing the Mikado.
Yeah.
How can he know that? It's
because they can look up the times of when the Mikado was playing. So it's on. I mean, that's my theory too. I mean, I don't Ned,
know.
Are you iffy on that?
Yeah,
one,
but
just gotta...
No, I mean, I'm like Jerome. I had not heard that before. That that the Mikado was playing right then and there. There's definitely the Japanese place. This is what Adam Ivester likes to talk about. He says that there was a performance of the Japanese play Kushigara at in the theater district. But I mean, maybe the Mikado was playing, maybe it wasn't. I'm really uncertain on that.
I'm pretty sure that it was playing. I mean, I thought I brought it up to Rich when I interviewed him way back the way. And I think Zodiac was coming from the Mikado. But again, it's like, it's one of those things, Jerome, like whether he was coming from the Mikado or whether he wasn't. Maybe he went to the Mikado the day before. We literally have no idea what Zodiac was up to.
Let's say he was watching a movie at the theater in California at the time. When was the the I don't know the word in English. The time to watch the movie. The
Showtime.
Yeah, the show time to see the movie, to 8 to 10 to 10 to
Well, he's coming out of the theater district, so those are like live performances. They're, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like it's like the play that, you know, they're going to watch like live plays. But I mean, there's, of course, you know of that theater, Ned, that had the Zodiac in the roof. It had
Yeah.
like that, so like that, and then I think that's what the movie alluded to with Rick Marshall and what's his name, the other guy.
Bob
Yeah.
Vaughn.
Yeah, so I think they worked at that theater, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a lot of, you know, conjecture
A
that they
premiere.
think
Yeah, a premiere.
Zodiac
Yeah.
went there all the time and watched like The Exorcist there and what have you. So
But do we know the time? Because if we can uh, connect the dots between the time he had finished the movie and he took the cab, the time the cab has to go to Maple Street, yeah, Maple,
yeah,
we can maybe see if it's possible that the Zodiac was watching
I
a
mean, I've never
movie.
seen anyone post the schedule like, "Hey, he definitely came from," you know what I'm saying?
No,
But I think it's
no. But
yeah.
I'm just asking if it's possible to know if a cinema at the time, a theater at the time, was playing, let's say, the Mikado, and when it was during the night, when it was,
Yeah.
uh,
To line
when the
up with the time
premiere
of
was,
Paul's murder. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. I
yeah,
think it's just whatever
Wait a
Gray Smith
second.
is saying, you know?
I mean, we have so many plays going on in the theater district, right? Believe it or not, I actually like what Adam Ivester said on Real Zodiac Killer Revealed. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I give credit where credit is due. And he's like, he thought that the Zodiac went to a play in the theater district and he left before the end of the play, you know, to give himself an alibi or something. Like everyone's going to have seen him
yeah,
at the theater and so
Yeah.
on. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
sneaks out and gets in the taxi and then
Yeah.
you guys can see where that's going. So, like, witnesses would place him at the theater, and he could just always lie and say that he was there.
I,
That's
I,
kind
ag-
of what.
I agree with you that he need an alibi
Yeah,
if
it's a great alibi.
if everybody knows him, because if no one knows him in a dark room, nobody can see him. So if nobody can see him, he don't have any alibi.
Well, not quite, because you're going to be like, you know,
No.
handing your ticket to somebody, and you're going to be seeing
Yeah.
people in the lobby,
True.
and you're
Yeah.
going to be like you know, interacting with the staff and so on. And
Right.
at the very least, someone might be able to vouch for your whereabouts. And you
You
would also
know.
have the ticket and be like, I was watching the
Yeah.
performance at the time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ticket stub, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to pull up the Mr. JSV? The 320?
Yep. This one.
So kind of going along with target shooting. So they're just rolling it in the target shooting story. So one thing that Voight said in that citizen thing was I never heard this before. I don't know if this is right or wrong. On the other side of the pump house at Lake Herman Road, apparently is a shooting range. And Jerome, me and you were discussing how you were talking about the hunting grounds. So I mean, a shooting range next to a hunting grounds next to Lake Herman Road. That's a lot of shooting going on in the background, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I was wondering with which kind of ammo you hunt the raccoon. A 22?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Small game. They call it small game rounds.
I would think
And
you would hunt raccoons with a 22, sure.
and David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen was killed by a 22.
That's right.
Which matches Gaviota 22 long rifle Super X, same ammo from Gavita Beach. Man, was it? But
But like I told you, Russ, in my mind, but I could be completely wrong. I think Zodiac, for me, my theory about the Zodiac, for me, Chene and Panzarella were already there, hunting the raccoon, maybe for days, and they've seen an opportunity, and they've taken this opportunity, and it was in the same times, like I told you, a way to test the water, to see if it was possible to kill people and don't be caught and
get away with it.
get away with it. And I think that's why it was their first crime and not Cherry Joe or Robert and Linda. I think I'm not sure, but I think they were the first crime. And in the same times, I was thinking about the long gaps of 6 months between the first letter and
Yeah.
the first killing. And I think I remember, Ned or Ross, tell me if I'm wrong, but in the Jack the Ripper case, the first letter was sent 6 months after the crime, or
No,
I'm wrong?
no.
It's a Ned question.
No,
Well, no, it
it's
wasn't. The first letter was sent roughly 27 days after the first crime.
it must be another case because
Well,
I've heard.
okay, Jerome. There you have the murder of Emma Smith, which is in the spring of 1888, but that's not a confirmed Ripper crime. That's the first Whitechapel murders victim.
Yeah,
I mean, she's not part of the canonical victims. And
no,
then you have the Dear Boss letter on September 27th of 1888. It's written on September 25th. That's at least what it says, and it was mailed and received September 27th. And
yeah,
that, if you want to say that, that's actually about 7 months, from you know
yeah,
between the crimes. But like again, that's not a confirmed Ripper crime, but that is the
no.
start of the Whitechapel murders. So I'll give you that.
Because the devils is in the details. So I try to watch and see every angle of
Yeah.
everything. I try to
So
sometimes.
here's the problem, Jerome. What you're talking about is the Zodiac crimes, but keep in mind, Domingo-Edwards is 63. So if
Yeah,
Don Cheney is the Zodiac, he doesn't necessarily need to tell Sandy that about Domingo-Edwards.
no,
He can basically say when
I
they go to
agree.
plan Berryessa, hey, I got this great idea. You pop up on two people on the water, tie them up with rope. Where do you get this genius idea? It's because he did it before. You know what I mean? So like,
I
it's early
completely
enough.
agree with you. If Jenny and Panzarella, let's say the killer and the voyeur, was the Zodiac, they have started the duo in '68 for David, uh, for Betty Lou Jensen and David David Faraday. And I think you're right. If Cheney was the killer, he could be responsible for Gabiotavich. For Cherry Joe, no. I'm not at all on Cherry Joe Bates. I don't know if I think it's something more personal. The Cherry Joe Bates attack. I think it's more personal. It's somebody she knew, I think. And for Robert Domingo and Linda Edwards, I think they were just that random target.
Yeah,
So
100%. No, yeah, it's definitely random. Well, also because you have the snipers shooting at surfers and
yeah,
kids at the shack
days
days
before,
before, so it's like
yeah,
they were trying to like psych themselves up to do the job, and pull the trigger on someone. The problem with Lake Herman Road, Jerome, is Ned will know this well. You really got to read that timeline and read it again because there's so
yeah,
many people in and out of the turnout that it's like
Yeah.
the time for them to get in there and do it is very constricted. So that's the thing. Yeah, I think we're
yeah,
all
yeah. I
missing
know
something
that there is
good.
just really,
Minutes, just
yeah. It's
minutes,
you can count
So
that in minutes,
there's
and
not time to be screwing
no,
around with the amount of witnesses
no,
who come in and
no,
out.
no. And for that, the Zodiac was really, but really lucky this day because with the time he had to doing what he had to do, he was really lucky to don't be caught. That's maybe why they've stopped to kill for 6 months because
Yeah, for sure, for
they've
sure.
seen that it was
Um,
hot.
Same thing I was saying about Paul Schultz. When the witnesses find David and Betty, they go down and they get that cop Ned, and then he follows them back there immediately.
Yeah,
So there's almost no. I mean, yeah, there's like the time of them driving. Other than that, that's why the Hoffman crap and the J Foy thing.
no,
I'm not a fan of Ned. We got. Oh yeah, I was gonna do this one. This is absolutely hilarious. 100% definite proof. Honcho or Ray Grant's 4 people, including mom's son, being Zodiac. This guy he's wild for this.
All right. Well, thank you,
None of
Jack. Do
the
you want me
above.
to answer this one first? I think there is more proof of Honcho than Ray Grant's four-person team. Now, we got to look at things from our points of view. Jupiter. Okay. Cheers. Okay. Cheers, Jerome.
A
Now,
Belgian
Sandy
Jerome.
beer.
Bet
It's
says
a Belgian
that
beer. Cheers.
Sandy Beth says that she is still in possession of one of the parts of the Lakeberry Essa hood. She said the Lakeberry Essa hood was made out of two components. One was like a paper bag covered in shoe polish, and there's also shoe polish that is on the garment that was worn, the more or less what we would call the dicky flap. Now she says that that is still stored in storage somewhere, so we could analyze that. Also, I mean, she says that she has her consistent pattern of behaviors that are coming from two people. She's had two stalkers. One of them is Honcho, and the other's name has escaped me. Maybe I never knew to begin with, but that's two people versus the four-person team.
Yeah.
And Ray Grant's four-person team involves Gareth Penn and Michael O'Hare, whom we can't prove had any type of connection prior to 1987. And I mean, that's more or less where I would say Honcho over the four-person group.
Yeah, I've none
Me,
of
I
the
have
above.
Sancho Panza
Yeah, Jerome likes his theory. Of those
and
two
Don
theories,
Quixote.
Jerome likes his own. There was
Yeah, you
our
see,
boy. Good.
there is something I debate with Drew Beeson.
Mhm.
It's sad that he's not there because I really like to talk about that with him, and I'm going to talk about that with you. Uh, there is this thing with Panzarella that Drew told me all the time. He told me, yeah, but remember that the guy had Parkinson issue. So
Towards the end of his life, I mean, I don't know
y-
when that sets in.
yeah,
50s,
yeah, yeah.
40s, 50s. I
So
guess I don't know anything about science. Hey, listen, I don't have
no, no,
a
no, but
science background in illness. I know basic
it
Wikipedia like the rest of us.
maybe its illness come before that. I don't know, but
Well,
this
I
is
like
not
what
the
you were saying before about like you questioned whether Zodiac could have that
yeah,
terminal illness at a younger age. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
think that's a question worth raising. I mean, we know how Cheney goes out, and we know him and Sandy both kind of have a health problem. So that's
yeah,
interesting, I suppose,
yeah.
for your theory,
Plus,
Drum. You know?
at Berryessa, Brian stated that the Zodiac was checking. So
Yeah.
when you have this kind of issue, your hand are checking all the time. Watch Michael J. Fox. And the two big things about Panzarella in the documentary, his name was Arthur Allen first. Uh, it's the first time he appeared on TV for a documentary, a show.
Hmm.
What is wearing? The same exact shirt that Paul Stein was
I
wearing.
forgot to bring that up when I interviewed you. I thought of afterwards. I was like, "Damn, we forgot to talk about Sandy wearing the damn Stein shirt in the documentary."
It could be a coincidence, but come on,
It
the
seems
exact
weird. I
same.
mean, it's like another taunt from him and Cheney. You know, it's like they're doing a follow you do type of thing. You know,
Yeah, and
like
after that, there is this debate between Drew and I that Drew told me, yeah, he had this voice, this
Yeah.
monotone voice, because he had Parkinson issues, and he's like that, not moving, no expression, because he had Parkinson issues. Watch, because there is different type of Parkinson. If you watch Michael J. Fox, is all the time moving. He had difficulty to stay quiet, to stay stable, and but his voice doesn't change. And in the for this medical issue, I've made my research. You can have somebody completely static because you struggle so much that you became static, and or you checking your body check your body is checking everywhere. But so there is those two issues, but I have made my research about the voice. There is nothing would say that if you have percussion issue, there is you will have a problem with your voice. So when I heard Sandy Panzarella in the documentary, his name was actually Alan. When I hear his monotone voice and his non how can I say that, his face completely,
Motionless.
yeah, emotionless. Thank you, Ross. And you remember what Brian was saying. The guy was checking a monotone voice. Nancy Slover said the same. The voice was not that somebody who came from England or Australia or no, but the tone of the voice was strange and monotone. I'm sorry, but when you hear Sandy Panzarella, it fits with what Brian Hartnell say about the Zodiac. And
So, do you like him for the phone calls in addition? Because that's kind of what Slover said too,
yeah,
like a slow
yeah,
monotone.
yeah, I think, yeah. I think that Cheney was there to killing. It was his job. It was his fun. The what?
Challenge questions, Jerome. I forgot to ask you these on your interview, so now I'm re-interviewing you on your show. Did you get Sandy's height, weight, shoe size for those wing walkers?
Uh, for the windwalkers, I don't know. For shoe size, I don't know. For the, how tall he was, he was tall. Yeah, I think he was. Uh,
6 plus.
yeah, something like this. 6'4", 6'5". Yeah,
Ooh, that might be a little too big, bud. I think so. I think 6'1" is good for the Z. I mean, better
yeah,
yet,
yeah.
he's got a hood.
I agree. I agree. Like I say, I could be wrong, and I accept
Yeah.
it. There is no problem with that.
No, I liked where you're
Yeah.
going before I threw you off track.
Sandy Panzarella was 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Yeah, he was really tall. Yeah.
When I look at the photos of him, he's always by himself. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that he was six foot
Tough to
four.
judge.
He looked. I mean, I would have estimated him to be shorter and so on. But I mean, I'm not doubting you because I don't know how tall Panzarella was. I'm just surprised.
Jerome found some handwriting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a
That
little
was
bit
pretty
of
cool.
his handwriting, but
Jerome found a little handwriting. You know?
there is not so much to compare for the Zodiac, sadly. And I have asked his son if it was possible to have a copy of his handwriting, whatever he want to share with me, but he never answered
Yeah.
me about that. I'm sure he know what I'm doing. He
Hey, I
knows.
just saw an interesting theory on the Dragon card today. I don't know if you saw Richard's article on it, Ned, but so we were talking about it on our show, Jerome,
Yeah,
as Don Coyote and Sandy Pancho there, as Drew said, the metaphor for Cheney and Panzarella. But Richard had this article. He said this other guy wrote something. I don't know if it was on like Substack or one of those things about there was like a crime where two. I might still have it up. There was a crime where two like gold prospectors like found a girl's body. And I think it might have been published today. So like Richard didn't fully co-sign it, but he just said, "Hey, this is what this guy was presenting," and it seemed to be decent. You know what I mean? So it could be one of those things where Zodiac, kind of like my episode with what Craig was saying, Zodiac sees an article about one of these random crimes, and then he sends like a letter or a card, kind of in like response to it. You know what I mean? Which I think is on the map.
That's what I'll be talking about on Thursday on my channel. I mean, more about the murder of Jackie Truss and that stuff that Richard and you guys were really getting into about how there was a string of murders that happened prior to the mailing of the Halloween card. When Paul Lavery started writing about how we have San Francisco's Jack the Ripper on the loose, and the Zodiac is probably thinking, "Wait a second, I can't let anybody get more publicity than me." So he makes the Halloween card.
Absolutely.
We have a question here from Ori. Hello, Ori.
Not necessarily related to this documentary, but are there any credible Zodiac suspects still alive? Well, now, we were just talking about Ray Grant, and Ray Grant had his team of suspects, and two of them were Gareth Penn and Michael O'Hare, who are both still alive, and from time to time they get on the internet as well. Let's see, we've had the passing of a lot of Zodiac suspects recently,
Yeah.
and even Ted Kaczynski passed away recently.
Yeah.
Not, we can't say him anymore. Oh, Bruce Davis is another
Yeah.
Zodiac suspect that is still
Yeah.
alive. He's in
He's
Lovelock
locked
Prison
up.
in Montana, in Nevada. Sorry, I think about Deer Lodge in Montana. Bruce Davis is in
Sandy
Nevada.
Manzarella last year.
Yeah, Sandy had passed away. But oh, Jerome and Ross. Are there any other suspects that are still alive that are widely discussed? I mean, lots of them. I know
I
lots of
don't-
suspects.
I
There are
mean,
famous.
not Allen, not Kane, not Geik.
No,
Um,
no, I don't think so. No.
I don't really know. I don't think there's really many not widely considered that are like obviously not Cheney, none of the guys from Jerome's Four Horsemen crew. I mean, Paul Brookbank's theory. You know, is his suspect still alive?
Yes, but
So there's one.
I mean, like, see, like, lots of people have their personal suspects that are still alive, and I can go through some of those. Except, we're not listing off living people being being the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, let's not
But
do that.
other than Gareth Penn, Michael O'Hare, because they've been talked about so widely, and
Ted
let me
just
think.
admitted. Ted Kaczynski
Braden?
admitted what? That
Well,
he was a
Kaczynski
Zodiac?
just died a couple years back.
No.
he is cold and in the ground.
Yeah, he never admitted that he was
He
the
died
Zodiac.
in jail. And I don't think he was. I mean, Hewitt has an interesting theory. I've only read his first book, but I need to read the second one and get moving on his trilogy.
Yeah, this is
Um,
really interesting to make the connection with Ted Kaczynski and the Zodiac, because they are operating in the same way, but
He has the math, you know.
yeah.
Which is cool. Although, like me and Ned were saying before, where Zodiac like messed up the code, I'm not sure Ted was that dumb, because he's like a Harvard, like he was like a Harvard teacher when he was like 13 or something. You know what I mean? So.
But guys, they were messing with us. They were messing with us. You see here, they were talking about Ted Cruz, not Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Cruz. Okay.
Everybody knows Ted Cruz is the Zodiac. He's still alive. Hopefully, he loses his, his election.
He's
Ted Cruz is
traveler.
scum. Ted Cruz is scum.
He's
Give
a
me
time
1
traveler.
sec. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break, Jerome, and then if you guys want, I could share this dragon card thing that.
Go for it.
Yeah, there is
just
no
give me 1
problem.
sec.
I'm going to share the video I sent you about the Satan Slave patch. Even if it's BS, it's always interesting to
And we should
see
also
it.
point out that Eric L. is saying that the original Night Stalker is still alive, and that would be Joseph D'Angelo, and he is also a Zodiac suspect. So that's another suspect that is currently alive. He is the suspect of Aunt Lisa and Ann Penn.
Okay. Why?
And we have Archangel Michael was asking, was there a different production company on the 11th of October, 1969? No idea for the performances. And we have the ZBI, Zodiac Bureau of Investigation. I can't wait to see what's in the locker, Jerome. Can't leave me with this suspense. Oh, Jack says Honcho is still alive too. Yes, of course. We were just talking about Honcho. Yeah, Honcho is still alive.
What did I
Okay,
just
but
walk
Jack, challenge
into?
question for you. Jack, what is Honcho's real name? I'm waiting for it. No, I'm serious. What's his real name? Because I don't know. Tony, but Anthony, I
Is
suppose.
Honcho a biker? Is he in the Satan's Slaves?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, Ross, I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I think they did talk a
Honcho
little
was a cross-dresser for a while, right? Like, didn't he wear women's clothing or something?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've been on that thread. What do we got here? Are you opening the vault here, Jerome?
Yep.
All right, let's see. What do we have? ZBI, Zodiac Bureau of Investigation. Oh my goodness.
Oh no, I think it went to something else. Is this the same
Hell's
video?
Angels, Satan's slaves.
Hell's Angels. Seems like somebody who just collects biker memorabilia.
Yeah.
Well, that solved it for me.
Yeah, it is because last time I've asked the woman who have buy that on eBay to send me a video about what she had buy, and she had post this video. So I I don't know. I have no clue. It's like Drew say. It's maybe completely BS. Doing that for what? I don't know. I have no idea. Why choosing this specific stuff, the VF patch? I don't know. I have no idea either. Um, the cross circle, it could be the cross circle using at Lake Berryessa for the costume, but I doubt it. I'm not sure, but and there's this third patch with the that that head with the bones and the skull and number 14. But like I think I've shown you that I've maybe find something about music. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do. I think you posted that on Instagram too, right?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Uh, one thing that Main's talked about in his reaction was that thing that Allen sent Phyllis, which was like the squiggle Z, and they were trying to say like the way he signed that squiggle Z was like similar to the Sherry Joe Bates stylized.
It is. It is. I mean, but that's not like written as the signature of the letter, right? That's just like that's just a marking. That is it on the letter or the envelope?
I think it's on the isn't it on the Bates had to die letters. I think.
Well, no, not Sherry Joe's, but like
the
one
Allen
that
one.
Arthur and Allen wrote to Phyllis. Is that on the letter or the envelope? They just zoomed in on it the whole time, so I couldn't see it. But you know, it does have. It looks like that with the it has the squiggle on top and goes into the Z shape. Now, if that were on the envelope, I would just be saying, well, that's probably just some kind of like person testing their pen, making sure it still works. Mikey Banana says it's on the envelope. That's a little bit less likely to have been someone actually trying to recreate Sherry Joe's squiggly Z. It's not really Sherry Joe's. It's the one that was mailed on the Bates had to die letters. Ross, I was just saying, Mikey says it was on the envelope. That sounds like to me like some guy's just trying to make sure his pen works, so he's just gonna do a little squiggle. Okay,
that's what I was gonna say earlier.
If it's on the envelope like that, if it's on the letter, fair enough. It's at the bottom of the letter. All right, that's some stronger evidence.
Yeah. No, I never heard of that.
You ever heard of the poison pen letter? Unsolved first letter was sent to a school bus drive in 1976.
No, I haven't. I'll look into that.
Neither. Ross?
No, I never heard of that.
No. So I have,
pull that thing up. Go ahead.
I have something with the the VF and the. I will try to show you if I can share that. I think I can here doing that. I know it's not. I'm not a professional. Remember. Yeah, I have this stuff
yes,
here.
You are, Jerome. Stop lying.
Have you?
Yeah, I
have
saw
you?
This.
Ford Zephyr Zodiac.
Yeah. Have you already seen that before?
Yeah,
Ford Zodiac. Sure.
I think Rodelli
I haven't seen the manual.
I think Rodelli has it in his book. Have you seen the dash, Jerome?
No.
I got the dash, the front of the where the logo is.
Ah, yeah. I remember. Yeah. I remember the car. Yeah. So I was talking about this device. It's a device to listen music, but it's not. Yeah, it's music, but it's a kind of dum 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 dum
Sounds like a
dum
music box.
dum 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 dum. So what I have done, it's it's crazy, but sometimes you need to be crazy to resolve something
Very true.
on the patch. So here's the patch. Yeah, it's the VF in fact, the VF, but with the dot connected. We have, if we're talking about music, we have a D. A D is a key. F is a key. So we start in D, and we have here. So you can, if you remember, you have the D here, D, it goes there, and the F here. We have the three buttons here. The I think is the 3/8 we see in the Z13 because uh, there is in total 13 symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, D 12, F 13. So I wonder if with this kind of device, look at the V shape here. I don't know if you see the V shape,
Oh yeah.
I do. I do.
and if you try to connect that with this kind of stuff, but you need to made it, you need to create it, and it's difficult because I don't have the material to create it, and you know the key, you know where to place the key on the on the paper, that you really know that. You take the Z13, you try to find which symbols represent a note, a key note, because if you start with D, you start in the game of D, and there is a lot of notes. After you go in the F key, there is a lot of notes too. So if you are using this kind of device and you try to replicate this kind of shape, maybe we will have something, a melody or something like this. I don't know, maybe nothing, but that's a possibility. Because I always try to see the things in with another point of view. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was
That's
the
good, you know.
it was a
It's worth the
picture.
experiment.
Yeah, but the problem, you see here, there is a D
Hmm.
69 F, and you have the VF, and I have made the VF with the four dots. I have replicate that here, thinking using this kind of device. But you
For
need
sure.
to have this kind of device, and you need to fabric and knowing the key of each note to recreate something. So it's maybe a melody coming from the Mikado, it's maybe a melody coming from something else, I don't know. It's maybe a clue, it's maybe nothing, I have no idea.
If it was from the Mikado, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. If it comes from the Mikado, it's a bombshell. But yeah, it's the yeah, it's why I have made like this, just to show you the VF shape. And I have something else here that I don't understand. We have here in the Zodiac, this is the Zodiac speaking Netflix documentary with the Seawater. Sergeant William White, and all the documentary I've seen before, the name was Dennis Lang.
I can't remember which guy that is. I don't know if that
And
William.
Jerome, you didn't get the thing I sent you?
uh,
The link I sent you about this? Because you were asking me?
let me check.
It was in the
Because-
comments section, I think, in one of the Zodiac Killer groups. So I looked this one up, and they had a video of this in the SF. It's, I think, the San Francisco State University Archive. And yes, this is Ranger William White. And in the SF archive footage, they zoom in on his name tag, and you can see it actually says Bill White. Both names are written out. But yes, Dennis Land was the first park ranger on site at Lake Berryessa.
Yeah.
The second one was Sergeant William White, who is here.
Do you remember that when Allen was questioned by Toski and the other police officer when he was at work, he claimed that his neighbor, Bill White, was maybe it was him uh, seeing him, Alan, with the knife, with the bloody knife, and that's maybe why he called the cops. It was
Absolutely.
his stuff, but I think he was making mention to William White, the guy who appears on the TV one day before or 2 days before. I don't know. It was maybe to mocking the police, to say my neighbor's name is Bill White, knowing that William is Bill. William White was there on the TV, and I don't know. Maybe there is something, maybe anything, but the devil's is in the details. So
You guys, that's the dash
Yeah.
of that Zodiac. It's can't really see it that close. Kind of blurry, but it's similar to that Zodiac logo on the watch.
Yeah.
Just a little more square.
here, Melissa Boussaid, VF is Fighter Squadron.
Oh, there are so
yeah.
many possibilities for the VF symbol. I mean, we talked about the cattle brand. Someone said that in the chat. I mean, it could just be something that was pulled off of the Red Rider comic books or coloring book. You know, it could be something from like aviation. It could be a religious symbol. Oh, what's the guy's name? Yves Persson. He's from France. He was the one who said it's a combination of 5 different Celtic letters put together. And
Could be a rune.
runes,
no,
yeah,
the
that's
rune.
another one. So many possibilities. Oh, and Kevin Robert Brooks was the one who said that means 4F discharge from the military if he had a 4F discharge. And then there's also what is it? David Gold was even saying that it's an FLM. I'm Frank Morris, but I don't really support that.
Is a question for everybody.
Ned has been coming on strong with his recent guests. If you guys could interview one living person, who is the dream interview you would want on your show? Zodiac related, not Taylor Swift. Well, I'm out. I was only really thinking about Taylor, so I got nothing, Ross.
Living, I guess it would be Hartnell. I mean, that'd be the guy you'd want to talk to. Toski is gone. I don't know if Armstrong is still alive, Ned. But I mean, I guess he's gone too. So yeah, I guess it would be Hartnell, I guess.
Absolutely. Anyone? I mean, for my own personal curiosities, Michael O'Hare.
Yeah.
I mean, I did say in the past that I wanted to interview both Robert Graysmith and Gareth Penn, but I think Michael O'Hare would be more elusive, only because he completely turned me down once when I just asked him for a comment. So,
I mean, I guess if you mean like a primary or someone like, because there's still a few officers that are around that that worked on the case.
Wait, yeah, go ahead.
Or do you just mean like a Zodiac researcher? I would like Voight. A lot of people are requesting a Ranchak now, but yeah, go check him out on Ned because him and Ned absolutely killed it.
Yeah,
Well,
excellent
it was
interview.
hard, Ross, because he does a lot of stuff offline. He also does a lot of other interviews. We had to book that thing like a month in advance and change the time. We tried to set it up in the spring, and it just couldn't happen. And I mean, he's just living his life, and he's making time for these things, which is very much appreciated. But it is hard for people, and like that's why people send me emails. Hey, can you ask this question to David? No, because he just he said on his YouTube channel that he can't respond to all of those things.
Yeah,
but I should say, realistically, I did think about trying to interview Bruce Davis, in Lovelock Prison, and maybe at some point when I'm back in America. I would actually like to do that. That's not really a dream interview. Cool. I just think that would be finally getting him to address the Zodiac Killer allegations directly.
Absolutely.
About me, if I have to question somebody, well, have somebody on the show, it will be Ron and Karen Allen. And if it's not Zodiac related, Bill Murray. Oh yeah, it will be my the biggest star ever for me is Bill Murray.
Oh yeah, Murray's good. I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, me too. But I love everything that Bill Murray's do. He is so funny, so funny.
Dude, he's classic.
And so talented, so talented. This guy is amazing. If I have the chance one day to receive, let's say, a celebrity, I want to have Bill Murray.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I co-sign that, dude. Murray's goated, dude. Love his comedy. But, I mean, for the show left, like, I'd still say, like, Voight, Butterfield, I still think are both good. I heard a rumor, Ned, that, like, Butterfield's book got canceled, but then the last thing I heard was it might come out. So I don't know if he is back in the fold on that. It's like, that'd be cool.
It's still on Amazon.
Yeah.
The book is still on Amazon, so...
Cole. I still got to read his trilogy and get Cole on. So I mean, it sucks that the Zodiac channel left that. Do you get any update as far as them making an offer? Nothing? No response?
No, because somebody asked me if I would pass on a message to the owner, and they wanted to buy the channel for $1,400, and I passed on the message, and I didn't hear anything back.
Yeah. No, I mean, at least if Ned could back up some of his stuff, that would be cool. It sucks the Howard interview got lost. There's a lot of classics over there.
I should point out that that $1,400 that somebody offered, that was so much better than my offer of $0, so it made me look bad a little bit. When the channel sit down, okay, well, can I have the files? I mean, I never heard anything about that either. Now someone volunteered to buy the thing.
I mean, Grant said he would put up an offer as well. So, I mean, that's between that initial offer you got. That's 2 between him and Grant. I'm sure he would consider something around that. So, a couple offers on the table. But, yeah, I don't know. I hit up Steve, and I was just like, hey, me and Ned could back stuff up if you know. But
well, absolutely. I mean, like, even if he doesn't want me to, like, monetize it on my own channel, okay, I'll just create, Zodiac Killer channel re-uploads. And just put them out there completely free if people want.
Make it unmonetized, yeah. So.
I don't mind at all.
Well, for one, there's like your interview with Rich, like Rich interviewing you. Then there's Druzer's, the couple bonus episodes that dropped. So I don't know, man.
Hey, guy, you need to, I'll just say that you need to propose him something he can't refuse.
Is that your Marlon Brando, Jerome?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, if you won't talk to us, I got another movie quote from John Wayne. You can't argue with a closed door. I mean, I have not heard anything back since I heard the initial message that the channel was being deleted, and that was the last communication I had.
About movie after I let you talk. About movie for Halloween. I'm doing a special show to talking about movie for Halloween. If you are free, if you are available, join me, and we are going to talk about movie. What kind of movie we like for Halloween? Which kind of horror movie we like?
Hell
stuff like this for the fun.
I'll tell you right now, I always watch The Crow on October 30th for Devil's Night, and then I'll do like maybe House of a Thousand Corpses on Halloween,
Oh yeah, Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is excellent.
But going back to like dream interview for Zodiac topic, when he said Murray and what Ned said kind of cued me. I mean, if you're saying anybody, like just we're gonna ask him and they say yes. Well, David Fincher, I would interview him about like directing the movie. That'd be sick. See.
Oh well, yeah, sure, that would be amazing. Like, and why not Jake Gyllenhaal too? Like, I mean, I'm sure I have a million things to ask them.
Robert Downey Jr.
I really,
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo played Tosky.
Yeah.
So,
Mark Ruffalo would have so many things. Like, got to interview him about the Avengers and all of his like dramatic stuff too. And
Yeah.
Ruffalo's fire. But like Tosky actually came down to the set and and Ruffalo met him and stuff, which is pretty epic. Gave it a little bit more flavor for the movie.
They are excellent actor. Excellent.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like too many of the people in the audience watched the Netflix, Jerome. I'm going to say, but I'm not surprised because it wasn't the most spellbounding thing I've ever seen.
No, I was watching, but nobody is talking about the documentary. But
I'm not surprised.
I'm not really surprised because there is nothing to say. So we have a question here from Mark. Question. If you had millions to spend on investigation the Zodiac case, how would you spend it? Good question.
I would hire a news bureau to put pressure on SFPD and the FBI and any of these law enforcement agencies to release all of their findings, get the narrative as clear as possible. And I know that's not the best answer in the world, but just make everything available to the general public. It's been 50 some odd years now. What are we talking about? 55 years. So we don't really know the complete picture. And hey, Vincent's here.
Hey,
What up,
Vincent.
everybody?
What up, man?
Hey, let me
around
know
in
if you
Cook
get
County.
loud background, terrible noises, or anything like that since I'm outside, and then I'll just mute
No,
or
for now
otherwise
it's good.
It's a little windy.
dust off.
You got that. Well, the obvious answer to this is DNA. You know what I mean? I would get Susanna Ryan on every one of those letters, test every single one of them, test the rest of that Sherry, hair with the brain, the skin matter, and I would get everything retested, everything versus Riverside, all of the letters versus all the Zodiac letters. Unlimited budget, baby.
For me,
What about remote viewing?
well,
No, that's Bruce Smith's job for Cooper.
for me,
that
I
to
think I will restart the investigation to point zero, to start from the beginning with the best
that's not a bad idea.
investigator.
Yeah.
The best investigator was what was left, what was good to take, and even 16 or 54 years after, with good investigator and the material that the Valero Police and San Francisco Police Department and the FBI has, I think if you restart to zero, you can maybe have new clue. Maybe.
Yeah, it also helps just make sure we debunk all the garbage that's cluttering the case. Like, there's so much stuff that it's hard to say, is this true, is this not true, because we've had 56 years of like claims and other things that if we start at zero, we can start really simple and then build up with only what we know to be sure after 56 years. And I think it would be really nice to have that true picture of the case. But
I agree.
Question for Ned here.
Question for Ned. Have you watched the 2005 Zodiac movie? You're going to have to remind me of the exact title because somebody sent me this in a DVD, someone who followed Black Box Online Radio. They sent me the DVD, and I kept it for about a year. I didn't get around to watching it, and I was going to. And I actually had it in my backpack, and I was going through the airport at Salt Lake City, and then they stopped me. They're like, hey, what's this? I'm like, that's a DVD. It's a 2005 Zodiac movie. Then they opened it up, and I didn't know this. But the person who sent that to me put 2 pocket knives in the DVD case.
oh my God.
Whoa.
And they're like, hey, what the hell is this? And I'm just like, I didn't know that was a gift. They're like, this is possession of a concealed weapon because you were hiding 2 knives in a DVD case. And I was like, I didn't know. Eventually they let me go. And then I was so kind of like turned off by that. I never got around to actually watching it. I was like,
Only Ned. Only
possession of a concealed weapon. I was like,
I think it's the Canadian production, the
Yeah.
Zodiac. This
Yeah,
movie
it's this
sucks.
one.
I fell
Yeah.
asleep during this piece of crap. Just don't bother. Don't
He
bother.
Yeah,
had
with
almost
Robin
been to jail
Turner.
for like
Terrible.
I don't know, a minute or something.
Yeah, it's so bad. I mean,
Yeah,
after you
there
watch
is
Fincher, you
also
don't want to see that shit.
the Zodiac Awakening.
Yeah, I seen that too. It's like a horror movie, right? Garbage.
Yeah.
The funniest
But-
one is that 1971 thing that he made to try to catch, to try to catch the Zodiac for real. That movie's hilarious. Unintentional
That's
comedy.
brilliant.
Yeah,
That's
Dude,
brilliant.
I
'Cause
love that one.
everything the Zodiac is doing is literal in that. Like he's sitting around thinking about his slaves in paradise that he's going to meet when he's going to die, and he's almost like having these imaginary conversations with them.
Yup.
You remember that stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so crazy at the end, but pretty funny stuff.
yeah, with Justin Chamber and Robin Turner. Yeah.
The 05
Another
movie
question
sucked.
here. Will one of you do a show where you do just that? 50
And then the
Zodiac
second
facts.
show, biggest
and
miss of the
second
game.
show,
Those
biggest
are
miss.
cool ideas. Those are good ideas for Jerome.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Zodiac
I'm too
facts
lazy
and
for all that.
biggest miss of the case. Interesting you
That'd
say
be
that
cool.
because Adam Ivester is currently writing a 50-point list of things that he's turning into sort of a book, which I think he'll put out for free, about 50 points of evidence for his suspect, John Parr Cox. But 50 Zodiac facts, sure. I mean, we'd have to be very, very, very picking and choosing about which ones we're going to choose. Only 50.
You could go to Butterfield's site for that, zodiacfacts.com.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I even have an episode that has the 10 myths of the Zodiac case, which was my direct response to Michael Butterfield's my article of that name. So yeah, you can get it on his website.
All right, gentlemen. I think I'm gonna jet. I gotta hit the gym, but good show. Vince, you have to get your. Did Vince? Did you watch the Netflix?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You have to get Vince's take on
Yeah.
that. It wasn't it wasn't my favorite production, but it had its ups and downs.
Well, thanks, Ross. Good to hear from you and be in a show with you. And hope all's going well today when you get there.
Good stuff, boys. I don't know. Next time, maybe something cool happens. We'll come on, or I would say check out that new Tom Voight thing I was telling the boys about. That was a decent episode, as well as Ken Maines. Ken Maines had some interesting things to say as well on his reaction.
And if you are free,
you have a good one.
Yes, sir.
and if you are free on Wednesday, this is Halloween night.
You're doing it Wednesday, so that's Halloween for us is Thursday, but you're doing it.
It's
when do you have it
Thursday, yeah.
scheduled for?
It's Thursday. Yeah.
Either way, I'll try to jump on with you. Either way, I'll do some horror movies with you. All right, boys, good stuff.
Take care, Ross.
Netflix is out. Go check it out, guys. That's all we can say about it. It exists. Peace out, guys. Check out my channel.
Take care of us. So, Vince, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Jerome? How are you, Ned?
Just
I'm
fine.
fine. Just fine. So, your take about the documentary.
Well, obviously the first 20 minutes, if anyone knows this case or has looked into this case, you can basically skip the first 20 minutes if you're just in it for the information, because although it's a good dramatic retelling of the situation, it's really just the same story we've all heard 1,000 times. And then really they took the best thing that they had, which is the knife with supposedly victims' blood DNA on, and they go, oh, the results aren't back yet. It's like, well, your show isn't ready then yet. Like, why have you released this? This is the one thing that you have. There was also the creepy letter from Allen about, oh, Zodiac never left an eyewitness, so much for eyewitnesses or whatever, where it was like weird, but it's not the knife with blood. The knife with blood is the star of that whole docuseries, and they go, it's not ready yet. It's like, you need to go back to the studio and work on your film then.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because if you do something like this, you are waiting for a result. If you have no result and the series is over, it doesn't make sense. And I think the knife comes from the Connie's sons.
It might be that Phyllis Seawater package, isn't it? Where Phyllis gave the box to whoever it said, Dave, maybe you said, don't
I
open
don't
this.
know that she was talking about a box to Dave, that one day she will give him a box and he will understand everything, but after he asked her where the box was, she said, "What box?"
Okay.
And
There was
he
the
never
box of
heard.
documents. I
Yeah,
thought I
but
remember from the docu-series that the knife was given to Connie's brother, who has a different last name, and is he the
I
half
think,
brother or something? And he got that from Mr. Allen. It was wrapped in plastic, and he gave it to him because it was in his car.
yeah. But I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was Connie's son. But
Well,
okay,
it's funny how
He was Connie's son. Okay.
we definitely don't have chain of custody then, if that's the case. That
no,
nobody knows where the thing came from. It's going to be pretty hard in court, no matter whose blood. I mean, it looks bad if it's Brian Hartnell's blood on the knife, but ultimately you have no chain of custody. It's not a good look. So,
But if that was Brian Hartnell's blood, I would say, yeah, Allen was the Zodiac, even though that might have, some reasonable doubt in a court of law. But
for us, yeah,
I would say that that's sufficient proof that Allen was the Zodiac.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because where would he get it? Yeah. There's a lot of. Oh, he shared the channel. No
professional documentary could cover all aspects of anything to great extent. I've seen amateur documentaries produce better documentaries. Amateur YouTubers produce better documentaries. Sometimes.
yeah,
Ali,
sometimes.
I mean, I've seen amateur YouTube documentaries that are just filled with information and they structure it in a very coherent manner. Whereas with the Netflix documentary, they wanted to focus more on the editing, the star power, and it's a high value production, and they have lots of interviews. They have lots of participants. Sure, they put a lot of effort into this, or at the very least, it's professional quality.
Yeah,
I don't really know how much
and
effort they put into this.
it's entertainment.
Yeah, that's what this is mostly marketed for: entertainment purposes and for
Yeah.
profit for Netflix.
Oh yeah. Vincent,
Yes.
continue.
Okay. Where to even begin? I haven't watched a lot of those documentaries in a long time because they were like very foundational for me getting into the case, and then I locked into who I really liked, and I would just listen to BBOR all the time, or Zodcast, or then your show with the panel and stuff. And these take up hours, and then not to mention making your own research and your own videos and doing all that. So, but I remember that one man with the target on his chest as being pretty cool. I have to watch it again to know for sure what I think about that, because now
It was a good
The same.
documentary.
was it good?
I saw that like 2 years ago, so I'm rusty on the details, but I do remember that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
It just this docuseries didn't do anything. It didn't help. It didn't we're still right back where we started. Is Arthur Lee Allen the Zodiac Killer? It's like you got the knife, got no idea whose blood's on it or what's going on with that, and you have the same. I mean, whether or not your average true crime hobbyist who's been on Reddit for 15 minutes believes Allen's a Zodiac is not important to me. Thank you, Melissa. But we're just right back where we started. And that's not a bad place because at least we have this community and we're doing a lot of good research and crunching numbers on this thing. But what they marketed it as once you see this documentary, it will be undeniable that Arthur Lee Allen's the Zodiac Killer. It's it's just goofy.
For the general public, it will. A lot of people in the general public are just going to be like, yep, that means it was Lee Allen because, the Seawaters have their stories and they had the documents in the box and the knife might have the blood. So, and like Altu says, the rest is a cliffhanger.
Yep.
Well, it really is because they just came forward with insufficient evidence. And Vincent, before you got on, we were saying that this happens time and time again. Gary Stewart did the same thing with The Most Dangerous Animal of All, where he published the book came out in print, then he said he's waiting for his DNA results. And then they're just like, why on earth did you put the book out before you had the DNA results? Now you don't really know if your suspect was the Zodiac or not. And I mean, the story is unfinished. The book is unfinished. With the Seawaters, the documentary's unfinished. The story's unfinished. Well, there's something on there. It's probably blood. End of discussion. Wait for part 4, part 5, part 6.
They must have paid Robert Graysmith a whole bunch of money for him to even deem that worthwhile because he's been so quiet for so long. For him to show up for this, And I thought when I saw that, I was like, Graysmith's in this, they might have something. And it's like, no, they don't.
No, and in plus it changed the story about a lot of things.
Oh, it got worse. It got so much worse. I had to retract a lot of stuff I said about Robert Graysmith after this one because he's just Where's this? Show me the speeding ticket. What's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
It's just unreal. How can you get up there and just? He got a speeding ticket at Lake Berryessa.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he heard that or where he saw that. I don't know. It's never mentioned anywhere, and I never heard about that before. So,
Yeah.
By the way, Jerome, I'm gonna have to
yep.
get off the stream too, but I mean, I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you all for being here, Vincent. Always a pleasure. And yes, that interview that you did was really good. A lot of good feedback already. So thanks again for
Yeah.
appearing on DBOR. And everybody can check out Blackhawks Online Radio, the interview that I did with Vincent McConnell. He's like that guy right there. And other than that, I'll just say until next time to everyone. And bye, Johnny. Thanks a lot. You guys have a good one.
Bye, Ned.
Well, here we are.
Here we are. So yeah, we've discussed for 2 hours and 15 minutes about the documentary and the discrepancy about the documentary, the discrepancy about what the Seawater was saying, the story, the everything, and nothing makes sense.
You know,
Nothing makes sense.
if we are closing out, the only thing I'd want to tell the community is just keep hopeful, keep optimistic. This is a solvable case, and science will lead us there. But we can't be trying to push our narrative, trying to push some kind of story that's cool and interesting. It's like follow the evidence, do experiments, boots on the ground if you can do it, if you're in Northern California, and keep optimism. There's no reason that we can't find out who the Zodiac Killer was.
I 100% agree with you, Vince.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are absolutely right. No, there is no way that we cannot never find who the Zodiac Killer was. It's possible. We need to stay optimistic. We need to, like you said, doing our job and trying to do our best and trying to find new stuff. It's hard. It's hard to find new stuff, but we can try to have a different point of view and talk each other about our different point of view, and like this we can exchange our ID and see if it's possible, if it's likely, unlikely, and like this we can moving on. Yeah, we can move on about this case. But that's true that this case is difficult. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead, Vince, if you had something to say.
No, that's all. I'm pretty much. I jumped in on the end a little bit, but
To
we
say
could
hi.
ever if we wanted to. We could talk for the next 8 hours about this case. It's like
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
might as well close out.
But thank you very much to coming here to say hi. And if you don't have some already, subscribe to Vince channels, New Hoax 2024, New Hoax. It's really easy to find. This is in the description below, so really easy to find. And Vince, I don't know if you are free on Tuesday, but I'm doing a special Halloween, and we are going to talk about horror movie that we like and horror movie that we want to see for Halloween, stuff like this.
Okay.
So some funny stuff, nothing serious, just for the fun.
Thanks,
If you are
everybody.
free, you are welcome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Bye, Vince. So, yeah, it was episode 11. Yeah. Oh my God. Times fly. episode 11. Say, okay. Next time, for episode 12, it will be on next Monday for sure. I don't know yet what will be the topics because we are. Mr. Reese with Mr. Belgic. Can you give me that name again? What name? Yves Grison? I don't know what you what you are talking about, but no worries, no worries. Ah, the VF symbol. Um, okay, don't worry, don't worry at all. Yeah, absolutely. I have already told you if you have um, any suggestion for a show, you can write to me here on my email address. This is the Zodiac at gmail.com. This is the Zodiac. It's not hard to remember. You can write directly to my email address. You can find me on Facebook. My name, Jerome, Elaut. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. Yeah, what a big surprise. Um, so if you have anything, any suggestion for a specific topic, a specific case, a specific anything, write to me and I will discuss with the other member of the panel, and we will do that because if we doing that, it's for you, it's for all of you. It's not for me. I don't do that for just for me. Oh, yeah, I'm doing a show on Netflix, on YouTube, and I'm going to watching myself for 2 hours. No, no way, no. Uh, we are doing that for you and for trying to find who was the Zodiac, and for the victim's family, for the victim, for the families, and that's why we do that. And yeah, it's difficult, it's not pleasant, because this kind of case are never pleasant, but it is what it is. But it's nice to have this kind of round table, this panel to talk with, because nobody talk over each other. Nobody is here to fight. Nobody is here to insult people. Everybody's polite, and I really appreciate everyone in the panel, everyone in the chat, everyone on Discord. This is a great server, great one. Altug, you are excellent. You are welcome when you want. Darkside, love you, baby. Michael, Archangel, uh, keep on rolling, baby. Ed Edwards Cipher, continue your cipher. Johnny, namaste. Like in my favorite series, my favorite show, Lost. Namaste, Lost. Oh yeah, maybe I'm going to do a show about Lost one day because I really love the show. It's my favorite show. Michael, peace and love. Take care. or Williams. Buenas noches. Oh, yeah. Buenas noches is in Spanish. I can talk Italian, Spanish. O quesa, quesa noche. Oh, o que vai? Yosacho. Hey, they're winner more. Yeah, I can speak Italian. ¿Qué tal? Well, I'm good. I'm fine. Come va la casa? La casa va bene. La casa va bene. Va bene. Really bene. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for your constant support. Thank you for all your love and all your support. Take care of you. Have a nice week. Remember, if you are free on Tuesday, I do a special Halloween show to talking about movies, horror movies. We can talk. Oh, Gorilla Train, Gorilla, my friend. Thank you to be here, and thank you to Charlie. Thank you to Sharon. Thank you to Cat Daddy. Thank you to I'm sure. Thank you to Dark Side of the Moon. Thank you to William. I'm sure I don't have everybody, and I'm sorry if I forget someone. It's my bad, my bad. But really, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and to the next time, Tuesday for Halloween, we will see you. And if it's not already, please hit subscribe. Goodbye.